Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into your home for political play-by-play on this Monday, June 29th, 2026 transmission of the Owen Report. Reliable for you here today. The Supreme Court, however, conservatives on the Supreme Court, not reliable unless you want to bank on them going against conservative values. Then you might consider them to be reliable. But not if you want them to actually uphold conservative values at the Supreme Court. Then they are not reliable, as we see again today. But it's not even the decisions. Some decisions have broken Trump's favor. Others have not. We're going to look at the Supreme Court decisions. But there were two decisions that are completely opposite of one another. And I have to wonder if Brett Kavanaugh and John Roberts, I wonder what is going on with those two, how they can make virtually the same decision, except on opposite sides of each decision in the same Supreme Court rulings. So this sounds nonsensical. What am I talking about? I'll explain coming up with all of this Supreme Court news. And then how much of this is Trump going to take serious consideration of or serious reaction to? People have already been suspicious that Trump might pull some kind of a trick to cancel or delay the midterm elections. I don't think that the Supreme Court decision based off of the mail-in ballots in Mississippi is going to be the one, but it is interesting with that and the SAVE Act, the effort behind trying to get the SAVE Act passed. Maybe there's some talk. Maybe there is some consideration. We'll also talk about that one with the mail-in ballots. The whole thing is nonsensical, honestly. I solved this whole issue last week. I can solve it again. I can solve the entire election issue in less than 5 minutes. Okay, so I'll do it again today. We don't have to waste too much time. We'll solve the entire election issue in 5 minutes. I bet we could do it in 2. How about that? I bet you we could solve it in 2 minutes. That's what we can do. Our politicians, our government, they can't figure it out. I guess nobody else in the media can figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll do it in 2 minutes today. How to fix the elections. Very simple stuff. 2 minutes is all we ask. So let's see. We'll look at that. Oh, and then last week, you're thinking, here is a great decision from the Supreme Court on the deportation issue. And then the Republicans come out this week and they're saying, well, actually, we don't want to do the deportations. Oh, you haven't been doing the deportations. There are no mass deportations. The number of deportations, it looks like, is under 1 million maybe since Trump has gotten to office. Now, there's been, again, think what you want of the numbers. Let's say there's been about 3 million deportations. It looks like less than 1 million of those are actual deportations, and more than 2 million are people self-deporting. So you had all these individuals that were here under protected status. The Supreme Court says, nope, their protected status is no good. They can be deported. Then the Republicans in Congress come out. Mark Wayne Mullen comes out, and you know he's not saying this without Trump. And they come out and they say, actually, we're not going to do the deportations. We're going to find a way to make them stay. Beautiful. I mean, just magical stuff. So even when they get a good Supreme Court decision, they don't even follow through with it. They don't even bother doing what needs to be done. So that's nice. Then there's Thomas Massie. He's going to do something interesting, it looks, this week. We'll talk about that. Also in Kentucky, Mitch McConnell. Did you know Mitch, poor Mitch, you know, he's been in the hospital for 2 weeks. No answers. What's wrong? What's going on with Mitch? Can we get signs of life? No answers. Maybe Mitch, you know what Mitch needs? Mitch needs a directed energy weapon, which used to be a thing of conspiracy theorists only. Now the Pentagon is out in public about it. They're about to make a purchase, a mass purchase of directed energy weapons. And apparently Pete Hegseth had a demonstration. He was very impressed. Very impressed. Maybe they'll do a demonstration for you if you make it to the 250th fair in Washington, D.C. over the weekend, which did pop off last week. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then you get these stories. You know what? When you're in the media and you've done this for so long, some things become comically inevitable. Comically inevitable here. Like when summer hits, get ready for the headlines, guys. It's hot. I mean, whoa. Without a doubt, every summer, the headlines come, it's hot. Wow. It's like it's never been hot before. And they're making a big deal out of what's going on in Europe. And they got this big heat wave in France. They don't know what to do about a heat wave, guys. They can't figure it out. France is just at a loss. They have no idea what to do with dangerous heat. Hey, some of your people have come over here to enjoy the World Cup. And you know what they have discovered? They have discovered a little something that the rest of the modern world has discovered. It's called air conditioning. It's this amazing thing. Apparently, France, not a fan of the air conditioning. You know, there's always been rumors, there's always been stereotypes about French and the BO. And we kind of figured it's a lack of deodorant issue. Maybe it's a hygiene issue. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's they're just soaking in their own sweat all day because they don't have AC. And then they come out with this number. Now, who knows if the number is real? It's like tens of thousands of people have died from this heat wave. It's because of global warming. Oh, but you could have saved those people with an AC unit. Isn't that ironic? Isn't that funny? But guaranteed every summer, it's hot. And then they'll publish 1,000 different headlines about how it's hot. And then there'll always be records too. They'll always find somewhere. They're guaranteed they'll find somewhere where it's a record. And they're going to let you know every damn summer with these headlines. It just never stops. And then you have these other ones right around the 4th of July. You'll have these weird city ordinances about fireworks and about flags. And I've got this one about flags in Massachusetts. And you just wonder, who's calling these meetings? Who's calling these meetings where they sit down and they say, hey, what kind of ordinance can we write to protect the birds this 4th of July? Ah, yes, the birds. Who's calling these meetings? Who's attending these meetings? Who's passing these laws? What are we doing here? You better be careful. Yeah, you might have an illegal flag display. What state do you think you could have an illegal flag display this 4th of July because it could endanger a bird? So be careful. What is going on with CERN? Is this why the time has felt like it's been sped up? Because CERN has been pedaled to the metal? Guys, we got all kinds of news on a Monday. No shortage of news today. Probably going to take us more than 3 hours to do today's show. So looking forward to starting off a busy broadcast week with you here on the Owen Report. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Patriot Protect. You know, I got this story about this huge data breach, but it's kind of a funny one. So I was going to wait until Skip came on with us again for a cyber news update. And he's traveling right now. I was trying to get him on to cover this news story, so I'm going to wait. But guys, I'm telling you, I find the weirdest stories on how they can steal your data, like just the craziest stuff that you wouldn't even think of. Beyond the basic stuff, like you got a membership to a video streaming platform, whatever, a store online. They get hacked. There's a data breach. All of a sudden, your private information gets out there on the web. People are buying it and selling it. Simple as that. Everybody knows it goes on. You don't want to be a victim of it. And it's crazier and crazier the different ways that these hackers find a way to get your information. So just cut them off. Get that information offline with our friends at Patriot Protect. Go to patriot-protect.com/Owen, where we have a deal for you. 15% off any protection plan with coupon code Owen. You heard that right. For my listening audience at patriot-protect.com/Owen, 15% off any plan with coupon code Owen. Folks, it's simple. They take the information that you don't want on the internet, addresses, phone numbers, emails, even credit card numbers. All of this stuff can get hacked, bought, and sold on the internet. Don't let people get access to it. Use Patriot Protect. All of their different plans, not only do they keep your private information offline, if it ever pops up again, they're there waiting to have it removed. That's what they do. And for 15% off any of their protection plans with coupon code Owen, for my listening audience at patriot-protect.com/Owen.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
You know, I've talked about this before, how I don't know if there's ever been a greater separation between what the people want and what they get from their government. And there's all kinds of examples of this. You know, foreign policy is kind of the one where it's the most obvious, but there's other things along the way. But foreign policy is the one where you can clearly see. It's like you look at the Middle East, even more specifically, very unpopular. Nobody likes it. And yet it doesn't matter who's in Congress. We always get it. We always get it. And so this is another example of this huge gap between what our politicians are doing, aren't doing, and what the people want to be done or not want to be done. You can look at flock cameras. You can look at data centers, all kinds of different stuff right now. But there's a poll every once in a while, it actually touches the political world. Or they get a taste of it even. They don't seem to be bothered by it. They don't seem to respond to it. Here's a perfect example. Now, this started yesterday morning. I think this is still live. Yeah, this poll has 18 hours left. This is one of the top Trump accounts on X. It's basically a Trump Truth Social account. So basically somebody made a Trump account that just reposts all of his Truth Social stuff and then adds some other stuff like a poll. So they added this poll. What is the number one threat to liberty in America? And the answers are Iran, Russia, or other. Now I can go into the other. And I'm guessing you can probably take a stab at what the other is in the replies. There's actually two. One is a foreign country. That seems to be the topic of discussion a lot lately. The other is the U.S. government is the number one threat to liberty in America. Might be that might be the most accurate answer. But so, it's, hey, we want to demonize Iran, and hey, we want to demonize Russia. And it doesn't work. It's not selling. Nobody's buying it. We're sick of it. And they could do these polls all day long. I wish they would. It's almost like if we're gonna pretend we have a democracy in this country, we might as well make it a lot more instant. We might as well make it a lot more direct. Just put out these polls. Just put out these polls when there's an issue. Put out these polls when there's some big vote coming up. And just watch what happens. Almost every time Congress or at large Washington, D.C. will go against the wishes of the people almost every single time. But I love this example. Despite all the propaganda against Iran, against Russia, despite all the money, folks, we're probably between Iran and Russia, in the last 5 years, we're probably in for at least $500 billion, probably maybe $1 trillion. Okay? We're talking about at the upwards of $1 trillion spent in wars against Russia and Iran. And the vast majority of the people have no interest in these wars and don't even really believe Iran or Russia is their enemy or a threat at all. And yet, whenever it comes down to Congress, they always vote for the wars. And this is what tells you everything. This is how corrupt your Congress is. This is how Congress does not act in the wishes and the desires of the American people. This is why people are done with the two-party system, because at the end of the day, it's one party marching the country in the same direction. Along the way, there might be some different side steps, some different side issues, some different twists and turns, but we're marching in the same direction. And you can do polls like this all day long. And every single time, the vast majority of the American people will vote against what Congress is doing, and they'll still do it anyway. And this is why people are so disenfranchised. This is why people have zero trust or faith, or maybe the lowest percentage, the lowest approval rating ever of politicians, Congress, the American media, because they feel they don't get representation anywhere. And it's only the special interests, the corporate interests, the foreign interests that get any representation in this country. Even though the vast majority of the people are against things like the war in Iran, we get it anyway. Now, I think we had this one first. I will say, look, we definitely had this one first. The only thing I can say is it's maybe happening. It's maybe happening one election cycle earlier than I thought. But I told you the Republicans eventually are going to have to drop the foreign policy. I told you that was going to have to happen.
And that's another home run from the great Babe Ruth.
And now here we are. Over the weekend, the Republican Party is starting to turn on Israel. They have realized that it's nothing but an anvil tied to their ankles politically. Now, I don't know how they're going to work out this deal with the Israeli lobbyists, because this is a messy, messy ordeal that they have on their hands. I mean, really messy. And, you could make some not so funny jokes about how messy it can get when the Israeli lobby isn't happy. But they're going to have to work some kind of a deal out. And right now, the deal that they worked out, and the left is still exposing it, is AIPAC decided we're going to find back channels. We're going to find side avenues to continue our funding, but it can't go through AIPAC. So they launched a bunch of other shell companies like, the Western Freedom Coalition and other such things. And it's the same AIPAC money, same causes, still funneling members of Congress cash to get that pro-Israel vote. But it's not popular anymore. It's not popular on the left or the right. And the right wing is about to realize, maybe they already have, or maybe they're waiting to see the midterm elections. If we continue to be the party of foreign interest, if we continue to be the party of Israel, we have no future in this country, that being the Republican Party. So, okay, they're starting to realize it. Now, this is mostly a generational thing, and so it's always been inevitable. But now that they're staring down the midterms, and this maybe being the number one issue, they're starting to buzz. There's starting to be a murmur. The problem is it's all the old heads in D.C. that will refuse to let go of the issue, because for them, it's their social justice warrior cause. It's their woke right cause. It's basically how they've been able to get elected and maintain their seat in Congress. But it's coming. Now, I also said the Democrats were going to be a lot more strategic about this. And you would have some go directly against AIPAC in races that they feel like that's going to give them the edge. And then in races where they feel like they already have the edge, or they already are going to get the victory, they're not going to go hard against AIPAC. And I think that's what AOC is doing. So now AOC is feeling the wrath, because she's saying, no, I'm not going to go against AIPAC, and I'm going to stand with my AIPAC endorsed Democrats. So now now they're coming after AOC. Why AOC needs to apologize for her infamous DNC speech. She has the potential to unify the left in 2028 if she addresses her decision in 2024 to carry water for people committing the most severe crime of the 21st century, that being Israel. So this is the left going after AOC. Now, I think deals are already being made for 2028. I think that, again, for 2026, the Democrats are just looking at this strategically. Hey, AOC is going to win an election anyway. It'd be like this. AOC is going to win an election. She doesn't need to come out against AIPAC. So we can still kind of sit on the fence with AIPAC, take their money, use their money to win elections where we need to. And then in elections where our candidates can be more popular by running against AIPAC, and then we can kind of even embrace that as a party image because it's popular, we'll kind of go about it that way. So this is the strategy for the Democrats. Now with AOC, I still think the Israeli lobby has too much power to not have some sway as far as who is going to be the leading candidate for the Democrat Party. Now, obviously, the Republican Party, AIPAC, the Israeli lobby has already tapped Marco Rubio. We all see that. But I think there's wheeling and dealing happening on the Democrat side right now. And they know, hey, the Democrats kind of have to run against Israel, but hey, it's okay. You can run against Israel and then still vote for all their causes in Congress. This is what everybody in Congress does. They always run for one thing and vote for the other. So, hey, no big deal. But it's likely they've told AOC, if you want to be a vice presidential candidate, then you're going to need to shut up. We're going to need you to back off the anti-Israel commentary, at least for now. At least for now. And then we can have some election results and see what we want to do. But what will this new radical left, which is very active, by the way, in New York specifically, the Democrat Socialists of America, they are very active. They've got a pretty good ground game. They're very well funded. Are they going to give AOC a pass? Will the same Democrat socialists that just had all their big victories with Moron Zamdami and the big woke left, radical left crowd that was running all of their campaigns, are they going to give AOC the pass? They probably will. They're probably going to look at AOC and say, all right, we don't want to throw you out with the bathwater. We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you for not being against Israel. That's my guess. I think they let it slide. But we might find out. We might find out very soon. Because I think the Democrat socialists are feeling pretty strong right now. Probably a little too strong, all things considered. I think they're feeling a little too good. I don't think they're quite ready. I don't think they're quite ready to take over the party yet, but they're feeling really good after the results from last week and their big hype fest and their parties and everything else. But do they feel good enough that they can take out AOC, somebody very popular, somebody with a lot of momentum, somebody who's very much represented the Democrat Socialists of America in Congress? Are they feeling strong enough to take her out if she's not strong enough on the anti-Israel front? That's going to be fun. That'll be a fun one to watch. But as we're looking at all of this before the midterms, and by the way, their big hit piece on Mamdani this weekend, did you see it? Just stop. Look, focus on the socialism stuff, honestly. The socialism stuff, that's going to work. Zoran Mamdani jumps into New York City pool to kick off summer tradition while violating dress code rules. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is your anti-mom Donnie piece because he jumped in the pool with the kids in his and actually I don't think he did violate it because they said that he went in with his shoes. As you can see, his shoes are off. So I don't even think he violated it. So I think it's fake news. Oh. They got him. Oh, he's not wearing a swimsuit. This is their anti-mom. Do better. Please. This makes Mom Donnie look cool. Okay? You're not helping the cause here. You're making Mom Donnie look cool. Focus on the socialism stuff. Focus on the results or lack thereof. Ooh, we got him. He's not dressed to code, jumping into the pool. Stop it. Good Lord. At the end of the day, I think that, we talk about AI and data centers being a big issue that can swing the midterms, and that is true. We talk about the foreign policy and the Israel issue being the big issue that's going to sway the midterms, and I do think that's true. But I think the other thing that's always true, but getting worse, I don't know if you can call it class warfare. As billionaires' wealth soars, U.S. workers struggle. The rich keep getting richer for no good reason. And there's all kinds of data points in this story from The Guardian, and there's all kinds of other stories you can find on this. Basically, the income wealth gap, the wealth gap in the United States of America is bigger than it's ever been. And the gap between, as they describe it in this story, the working class, the workers, the gap between the workers and the 1%, I don't know if they call it the 1%, they call it like the 0.0001% here, is greater than it's ever been. And this is true, by the way. And that doesn't mean you're a communist for saying it. That doesn't mean you're a socialist for saying it. That's just the truth. That is just the truth. Now, I don't think communism, socialism, more government, taxing the rich is the solution. I don't think that's the solution. I think cutting the taxes is the solution. I think letting Americans keep more of their money is the solution. I think getting rid of regulation and all these different microtransactions, I think that's the solution because everybody's chasing. Everybody's in debt, so everybody's chasing all the time. Higher interest rates, more debt. But the problem is the Republicans don't even really mount any campaign on this issue. They just tell you it's the golden economy. They just tell you it's the greatest economy ever. They just tell you everything's fine and good. And if it's not, that's your fault. Which is such a bad stance to take when it comes to tackling the economic issues in this country because you're not tackling it. You're avoiding it is what you're doing. And the Democrats are attacking it directly with socialism. And this is why I get so frustrated watching Republicans complain about socialists. And I'm just like, you guys are doing this. You guys are the reason why socialism is becoming so popular. And if you want to sit here and complain about we're up against the colleges, we're up against Hollywood, we're up against all the propaganda. Well, you know what? They're still playing catch up because this is still the United States of America. And believe it or not, most people still don't like socialism. No. The reason why Democrats are winning, the reason why socialists are winning is because Republicans pretend like there isn't any economic problems in this country. And they run on a conservative platform. They claim to be fiscal conservatives, and they're not. They're anything but. So none of this works. So the Republicans avoid the issue of the economy while the Democrats actually try to provide a solution. And you and I can complain about the solutions that they offer and point out that they're probably never going to work. But that doesn't change the fact that they're offering solutions, and that's why they're winning. The Republicans are denying the problem. And I don't see this getting any better, by the way. There seems to be No interest. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of pretending. There doesn't seem to be any real interest on the Republican side to actually do anything as far as the economy is concerned. They could have been on a run. Honestly, the Republican Party could have been on a run. Trump's been in office like 520 days. You could have had 520 days of a true economic recovery package and plan, and they did nothing. And instead, they're sitting here in another war in the Middle East, and we're like, hey, maybe we can get gas to like $3 a gallon. Wouldn't that be great? What happened to like under $2 a gallon? What happened to drill, baby, drill? What happened to we have more gas and more energy than we know what to do with? Now we're just like begging for $3 a gallon, like, hey, that'd be nice. Can't end the war, though. Sorry. Can't do that. Seems to be no interest. They get close to the election. Hey, we're going to cut property taxes. Hey, actually, we're going to get rid of property tax. They never do. They never do. So let's look at some of these Supreme Court decisions now. Well, the Republicans did a massive head fake. I'll tell you what. We'll get to the immigration one in a minute. Let's start here. The Trump administration considering this a big victory, and they're going to be able to fire people now. Supreme Court cements Trump's power over agencies long considered independent. So this was Trump trying to fire some people in independent agencies, as they call them. And then they sued and said, you can't fire us. And now the Supreme Court says, yes, Trump can fire you. Okay. And that's a 6-3 ruling on that. And, there's they're mad. Outcry over Supreme Court decision to grant Trump power to fire agency chiefs. Well, this is ironic. So that's a 6-3 decision. Then there's another decision here that went the other way. Supreme Court blocks Trump's attempt to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Well, wait a second. How is it that the Supreme Court rules that Trump can fire one group of people, but he can't fire the other group of people? Seems to be a bit of a double standard. Seems to be a bit of a confusing result here. So I'm just curious, from two that flipped on it, I'm curious how John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh would care to explain this. How do you say that Trump can fire all of these different agencies, independent agencies and their chiefs? And then you turn around on this vote and say, but he can't fire this one Federal Reserve governor, though. I'd love to hear an explanation from Roberts and Kavanaugh on that deal, because that doesn't make any sense. Supreme Court rules Trump cannot fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook, but the same court rules he can fire anybody else. Okay. By the way, this is like from years ago. I don't want to rehash all of this. This thing is crazy. So the E. Jean Carroll thing was in the Supreme Court too. E. Jean Carroll wins against Trump. Supreme Court lets $5 million sex abuse verdict against Trump stand. President Trump had asked the justices to intervene after a jury found he had sexually abused and defamed the writer E. Jean Carroll. I'm trying to go back and make all sense of this. It's from years ago. This is mostly summer 2023 when this was really heating up. And it was so screwy, but she sued Trump for some sort of sexual assault deal and was found, and Trump was found not guilty of it. But then he was found guilty of defamation for claiming he wasn't guilty of the claim that he was found not guilty of. What? What is going on? I don't know how the Supreme Court looks at that and doesn't say, well, that doesn't make sense. How can Trump be found guilty when he's making a claim that E. Jean Carroll made it up? They found him not guilty of rape. He said, hey, I didn't rape her. She made it up. They find her not guilty of rape. But then they say you are guilty of defamation for saying she made it up. Huh? Okay. So we got this crazy person. Remember when she went on, first she goes on Anderson Cooper and says rape is sexy. And then he saves her and he's like, cut the segment, get off, go to break. You're killing your case here, woman. Then she goes on, I think it was Maddow, and she talks about how she's going to take a luxurious European tour with all the money she's about to take from Trump. And despite all of this, and it's all happening as he's running for president again, too. And she's living in the woods in like a mushroom hut. She's like some cheap Temu Disney princess in the woods with like finger paints, and it all happens right before the for the presidential election. Oh, that's all good. That's all normal. She wins. She gets a bunch of money. Okay. And then she's going to brag because she can go on a European vacation. Well done, Supreme Court. Thank you. You know, I wonder, is this like the new thing? Is this what we do now? You run for president and then you get close to the election and a bunch of women come out and make claims. Is this what we do now? Remember, they just did it with Thomas Massie. So, these claims just come out of nowhere right before an election. Oh, of course they do. Duh, that's how it works. I forgot everything. I forgot. We are now 10 days away from the election of Johnny Tsunami. Oh, some girl comes out of nowhere. She pops out of nowhere. She just spawns out of some cosmetic factory. Johnny Tsunami raped me 20 years ago. I just remembered. I saw him on TV and I remembered he raped me. Oh my gosh. And then 100 headlines an hour later. Victim of Johnny Tsunami. It's like, is this what we do every election cycle now? But hey, when we've got emails with Epstein and his friends talking about pizza parties with grape soda and beef jerky and, that's nothing to see here, guys. Nothing to see here. But some pink-haired freak crawls out of a mushroom hut in the forest of New York, said, I was raped by Trump. Oh, of course you were, man. Yes. Right before the election, you remembered. Thank goodness. You could have saved the country. Good Lord. Where do they find these people? Go out and search the woods. There's a myth. She's a writer, too. Go out and search the woods. There's a writer. She's living in a mushroom hut. She's willing to make claims against Trump, but you just got to find her. If you can find her, she'll probably be like, she'll be hanging out with chipmunks, furrowing some acorns away for the winter. But if you can find her, she'll make a claim against Trump. She promises. So then there was the decision last week. Hey, everybody was excited. Everybody was excited. Hey, the Supreme Court says we can get rid of the protection status. Let the deportation begin. Let the mass deportations begin. The Supreme Court has removed the protection order. Wonderful. Remember how excited everybody was? Oh, not so fast. Mark Wayne Mullen. Haitians on temporary protected status can seek legal status. Congratulations, MAGA. Hey, I thought this was one that MAGA really had. I thought this was one where MAGA was really going to be able to run out onto the 50-yard line and shake their hips and gyrate their ass for Daddy Trump. I thought this was a good one. I thought this was a pom-pom event-worthy decision. So the decision came down last week. They all ran out onto the 50-yard line, started shaking their hips for Daddy Trump. Ooh, looks like the deportations still aren't happening. Darn it. And they were using it too. They said, see, panicans, see? The Supreme Court was blocking the mass deportations. See, Panikins? Now they're going to begin, Panikins. Now the deportations. How do you feel now, Panikins? Not good, actually. Not good, because you're still not getting your deportations. Oh, Republicans in Congress come out. Mark Wayne Mullen comes out. Oh, Trump will come out soon, too. We just can't deport them. Sorry. We just can't deport them. I know. We told you we would do mass deportations, but we didn't mean it. So it's not going to happen. And you thought the Supreme Court decision would give you the green light. Nope. Not happening. What's up with that? What's up with that, guys? What's up with President Trump endorsing Republicans who write legislation to give legal status to people that entered the country illegally under Joe Biden? What's up with that? Thomas Massey, how much of a fire is he going to exit with is the only question. He asks his followers on X today, this is about a couple hours ago, tonight I plan to give notice of intent to bring forth a privileged resolution this week to force the release of all names of U.S. representatives who have used your tax dollars to settle sexual misconduct claims. Do you want your representative to vote for this disclosure? 97% say yes. Now, you've got basically 3 Republicans in the House that I kind of view as defunct. So obviously Massey and Mace are kind of defunct, meaning that they can vote however they want and there's no real political consequences because they're about to leave anyway. So this can be good, this can be bad. But when it comes to a vote like this, where you could possibly see it on party lines, maybe it ends up flipping it. And I think the third one there might be Lauren Boebert. I think Boebert is she could probably win an election. I don't know if she wants to anymore. But those are votes that would go either way. So now it becomes an issue of who's got people in Congress the longest. Because most of these claims are going to be pretty old, I think. So there's probably some members of Congress that are actually in these files, but there might be more members of one party than the other, and maybe that could make it a party line vote. But this is something that we've how many times has this been brought forth? I think Mace tried it last, and it got voted down. So now Massey's going to try to bring it up again and see if he can't get it passed. But this was that. It was like a $20 million slush fund, and it was members of Congress paying off people for sexual assault claims. And so now Massey is talking about releasing all of those names, as he says, who have used your tax dollars to settle sexual misconduct claims. All right, let's go. Let's see it. Speaking of Kentucky Republicans, where is Mitch McConnell? Anybody? You know, it's like this shouldn't be so funny because these are actual people. Well, maybe. We can only assume. But, you know, you see Biden struggling. You see Mitch McConnell struggling. It's like this isn't something we really like to make fun of. These are old people. They're kind of struggling, you know. Can happen to any of us. But, well, they shouldn't be in office is the problem. Senator Mitch McConnell, he's just gone. Condition remains unclear 2 weeks after being hospitalized. He's been in there for 2 weeks. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. You can find, it's not really making the national news. You can find this is a local CBS story here from WLKY. You have to go to these local news sources, and they're standing out in front of the hospital where apparently Mitch McConnell is, and they're like, we have no idea what's going on. Nobody knows what Mitch McConnell's status is. Nobody knows what he's doing in there. Nobody knows what's happening. Just a senator, you know, that's all. I think he needs, he might need some crash out energy, but Not sure that would help him. Maybe give it a shot. No, I think he might need a directed energy weapon, actually. Maybe that's what he needs. Remember when that was the thing of conspiracy theory? Not anymore. Cat out of the bag. Pentagon embraces directed energy weapons. And it's Katie Pavlich reporting on this for Newsmax and doing a bunch of interviews. It's hilarious. Oh, Katie Pavlich, like as mouthpiece establishment Republican as it gets. It's like, oh yeah, she's breaking it, guys. Katie Pavlich gets the exclusive on directed energy weapons. I mean, give me a break. But she's breaking it. It's real. Used to be a conspiracy theory, but now that Pavlich is reporting it, it's real. Pentagon demonstrates directed energy weapons at White Sands, and apparently Pete Hegseth was so impressed, they are going to be making a large purchase of directed energy weapons. Just what we needed, isn't it? You better behave. You better behave. You better behave, because if you don't, the flock camera is going to find you. Your AI surveillance probe is going to be giving them updates. And then the directed energy weapon is going to cook you. All of a sudden, you're just going to be cooked. And nobody's going to know what happened to you. You'll just be cooked. Sudden death. Or what did they call it with the vaccines? Sudden mysterious death. What was the buzzword with the vaccines? Dies instantly. Oh, just dies instantly right after the shot. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll look at what is, honestly, who does this stuff? Who calls a meeting and says, guys, we need more rules on the 4th of July. We need more rules. Somebody does this. Politicians, that's who. Politicians, they get in a room and they find out all these different weird ways they can try to keep you from having fun on the 4th of July, or make you think twice, at least. Make you think twice about the fun you're having, because you might be in a violation. So we'll look at that and some of the other news coming up on the other side of the break.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Folks, you might be thinking about precious metals right now, especially with the crazy economy, uncertainty of the dollar, uncertainty of the stock market. Who really knows? Well, one thing that has proven the test of time, and that is precious metals, gold and silver. And that's why I have partnered with Allegiance Gold to protect my wealth. And they suggest you do the same. Now, when you're talking about your wealth, when you're talking about your finances, this is not something you want to mess around with. And you want to make sure that you're making decisions with somebody that you can trust. That's why Allegiance Gold has an A+ review with the Better Business Bureau. You also want to make sure that you understand the decisions you're making. Well, that's where Allegiance Gold comes into play. They want to make sure that you do have a full understanding of the decisions and are fully confident when you make them. Give them a call. The call is free. 844-790-9191. That's 844-790-9191. And while you've got them on the phone, ask them about $5,000 in free gold and silver. You heard that right. $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings. They make it simple to move into something real before the next reset. You can also go to protectwithowen.com. That's protectwithowen.com. Protect your wealth, because no one else will.
It's America's home for political play-by-play. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Air conditioning. It's nice. Should try it sometime. France. Give it a shot. Is it really that bad, though? How is it that they don't have AC? I mean, somebody in France has AC. And then, have you seen these videos? Apparently, I guess there's stores where you can buy these mini AC units, and it's like a Black Friday sale where they storm the shops, and then they end up getting in fist fights over an AC unit. Oh my God. Wow. You know, it's ironic, actually. It's ironic. You're watching these videos in France. People are getting into fist fights over these tiny AC units. And it's ironic because the people that you see getting into the fights are actually Africans. And you're thinking, well, you guys are probably more acclimated to the heat. It's probably the old, white, pale, fragile, wrinkly people that need the AC. They're the ones that are dying. But they can't even get out of, the house to go get these AC units. So you have a bunch of Africans fighting it out over the AC as the French, the old French, are not making it. What in the hell is going on? What in the hell? There's always one of these on 4th of July week and weekend. There's always one. Usually they're in California, though. This one comes from Massachusetts. Massachusetts homeowners stunned after town warns July 4th flags threaten endangered birds. My goodness, those birds. The birds called, they're sick of your flags. The town of Newberry denied it was in any way attempting to interfere with the property owner's rights. This endangered bird, guys. This endangered bird. Residents of a coastal Massachusetts town say that they were warned that flying flags on their own properties could violate endangered species laws, sparking outrage just days before the nation's 250th anniversary. Freedom is an endangered species, apparently. The only endangered species here is free Americans. when you've got politicians, it's the 4th of July and they're not thinking, hey, how can we make sure everybody has enough hot dogs and popcorn and cotton candy and everything else and fireworks, everything else. How can we get more American flags? No. No, they're thinking, what rules, what regulations do we need to be writing for this 4th of July? Oh, I know. We need to get those pesky flags out of the air. Those pesky flags, those dirty Americans, they like to wave flags on the 4th of July, if you can believe that. Endangering the birds. Plum Island homeowners recently received a notice. You can piss on that notice from the town of Newberry, warning that it had become aware of the use of devices and materials intended to deter a flag, protected shorebirds from using local beach and dune systems. Take down your flag, dirty American. There's a bird coming in. Because that's the one thing about birds. There's not enough space in the sky. It's like, where are the birds going to go? If you put a flag in the air, it's like there's nowhere else to go. You put one flag in the air and the bird all of a sudden has nowhere to fly. There's no way to get around it. There's no way to get over it. Hell, you couldn't even try to get under it. And then there's the flag pole. Yeah, this is outrageous. There's not enough air for birds to be flying around. So take down your flag. Unless, of course, there is one flag, though. There is one flag that you should not take down, and that is, of course, the Israeli flag. That flag should stay. You take that flag down, now that's a penalty. Just take the American flag down. Know your place. Give those birds some space, man. Those birds, there's not enough space up there. They're struggling for space. You look up in the sky, you're saying, where is the space for these birds? They can't do it. So there was an event. It was not very well attended, I will say, as you can see from the videos. There was some tent in D.C. for the 250 event, and they had a stage here. As you can see, nobody's there, but this was a stage set up, and it's got an Israel and an American flag, which, again, I don't believe that they should be on the same height here. That seems to be a flag violation. But, hey, if Randy Fine can put the Israeli flag over the American flag in his own congressional office, then I guess who cares about that stuff? So nobody's going here. This was a baptismal booth with an Israeli flag hanging in it, a baptismal booth. It was very well attended. Not. It was actually zero attendance. And they went back to see. Nobody was there. And then here was just completely empty, guys. Go figure. The Israel flag baptism tent had nobody attending it. Look, the numbers were not good. And then I guess they canceled some events, like Vanilla Ice's show got canceled. I guess it was maybe there were some weather issues. Maybe people were afraid of the heat. Well, they did not get good attendance. And, it's upsetting, actually. I would say it's upsetting. I do anticipate that the 4th of July weekend attendance will be much higher. I do anticipate that. But it's just become so politicized, and it's become such just like a Trump thing more than anything else, more than even an American thing, that people are just not excited, and they just didn't go. It was flat. And I think the reason why we saw the UFC 250 do so well, those were UFC fans that invaded DC for that event. Now it's like, okay, the 250 deal, now it's like it has to stand on its own. And so this weekend, with some of the opening fairs and some of the opening acts, it was like this was the first time it had to stand on its own without a already successful marketing campaign behind it. And it was abysmal. It's sad, actually. I'm not happy about that. It was abysmal. But I do anticipate the crowd will be larger for the 4th of July. Hopefully the weather holds. As Trump said, it'll be the biggest firework display you've ever seen. Never been a bigger firework display. In fact, I'm going to go up with one of the rockets I might blow up. I don't know. I said, send me up. What's the biggest rocket you got? Send me up with a rocket. Hope the parachute works. Who knows? It's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful. That rocket's going to go up, blow up in the air, and I'll come floating down. Your favorite president. That would be fun. Okay, did you guys see? So, the Gay Pride Month was a little quiet. Wouldn't you say? I feel like Gay Pride Month was a little quiet this June. Didn't hear too much about it. Didn't see too much. Usually the marketing is overwhelming. Commercializing it. It's likely that you're even going to go out and see something, a parade, a march, whatever, something like that. Relatively quiet. I guess maybe I'm speaking too soon. But that was not the case this weekend. So I guess some of the gay pride stuff started to kick off this weekend. We have it again. Now, it was all over the country. It was in California as usual. And then there was one in Texas, some law enforcement officers in Fort Worth. This is supposed to be the conservative part of Dallas. So there's a street preacher out there. The cops are saying, hey, you can't, it's like, hey, whoa, you're offending gay people by being out here. Here's part of that interaction.
That I would be allowed to preach anywhere on a public sidewalk inside the city as long as it's free and open to the public. We'll hang it right there for me for a minute.
So this is the fact that this is even happening is nuts. Because you've got these events now, and I'm not going to play it, obviously. But these men show up and they're just running around naked. Now, unfortunately, I did have to watch this stuff. It popped up all over X. And, we kind of already figured it, but now it's like pure. Now it's just, it's like, it used to be, more people would kind of show up to this stuff, and then it kind of peaked out and people realized, oh, this is not what I thought it was. This is not a kid-friendly event. When you've got men showing up in their, sexual kink outfits and leather daddy stuff, running around naked, it's like, yeah, most people realize, hey, that ain't for me. Most people realize, yeah, this is not a child-friendly event. It's like they get away with it because they do it on public property. They do it in the middle of the street, and they call it gay pride. And it's like, okay, I guess we'll let this slide. So it's happening again. Here's what it's basically boiled down to now at these events. You've got essentially, I'm not even trying to be mean, but I mean, you have mentally retarded people that kind of just fall into this category somehow. They're either tricked into it or they think it's fun or something like that. They're not all there. You can tell they're mentally ill. And now they're showing up at these gay pride events and they're just running around naked. I mean, they're literally retards running around naked. I'm not even trying to be mean. I'm not even trying to be funny. That's what it's become. And that provides the cover for the real sickos to get up there on a float and, do God knows what. That is certainly not family friendly. So all these kids show up. These men are running around naked. And the guy that is standing there fully clothed, reading the Bible, he's the bad guy. He's the guy that gets approached by law enforcement. If this isn't the most backwards thing you're ever going to see, I don't know what is. You can be a grown man and you can run around naked and a cop won't say anything. There's videos. They have them lined up on the street like it's a parade. And the kids get to go to the front of the parade. They get to go right to the side because they're short. So they can sit there or sit in a chair or stand there. They're short. People can see over them. So you got all these kids lined up on the street. And then here come a bunch of nude guys running around. And the cop says, wait a second. And he goes and he grabs the street preacher and says, what are you doing here? It's like, what? Sir, there's a man doing a meat helicopter in front of a 2-year-old over there. Like, son, you better put that Bible away right now. You done heard me? Sir, Sir, he's doing the brain to a 5-year-old, sir. Sir, fruit basket, 12 o'clock, sir. Sir, like, now you listen here, bud. You're going to put that book away. You're going to put that Bible down. You understand me? If that man wants to do a meat helicopter in the middle of Broadway, that's his right. Damn it, he's gay. Bigot. Huh? This is where you're at. Hey, guys, what is it? It's the year 2026. And you can run around naked in the streets, but you can't read the Bible. What? What? Yeah. There's such a great skit opportunity there. Somebody needs to do like Saturday Night Live or somebody that does like comedy skits. It's like, yeah, the most perverted stuff is happening on the street. And then it cuts to a police officer. He's on his walkie-talkie. He's like, what's that? It's like, oh my gosh, we're going to stop that immediately. And the officer runs past, like, all the most grotesque stuff that you can see, all the kink stuff, all the gay stuff, and the kids standing there watching it. And the officer sprints past all of that. And then there's a man with the Bible. He tackles the man with the Bible. He's like, sir, give me that book. Give me that book right now. You shut up. Sprinting past the grown men making out and gyrating in front of kids. Like, get that man preaching the Bible. He's like fighting through the crowds of the gay orgies at noon of the middle of the street. He's like, get that man with the Bible. Get him. Whole team of police officers tackles the guy with the Bible. Like, that's the big crime here. That's the big crime here. And there's a man with the Bible. I can't do it. I can't. Hey, guys, how'd that peace deal go? What one? Which one? Israel bombed southern Lebanon. Israel's been bombing southern Lebanon for about the past 48 hours, guys. Congratulations on a peace deal. What a joke. What a joke. And you should see some of the sites. I mean, I don't know what type of bombs they're dropping, but man, those are not strategic. Those are not small strategic strikes. Those are, can I annihilate an entire neighborhood bombs? Nice peace deal. Of course, we all know what peace is. We all know what peace translates to when you're talking about Israel. Peace is Israel gets to attack anybody and everybody, and nobody else gets to respond. That's what peace is. For those that are still unclear, let me help you out. You're trying to follow the Middle East deal. You're trying to follow the peace deals and the agreements, and it's just like, oh, what? None of this makes sense. Let me make it make sense. Let me explain everything. And when you understand this, now it all makes sense. These peace deals in the Middle East, you're saying none of it makes sense. There's no peace. Yes, there is. Let me explain. Peace is when Israel gets to kill and destroy whenever they want, however they want, wherever they want, whoever they want, and nobody else is allowed to respond. That is peace. That is peace. Okay? So now do you understand? Now you understand what peace is. So yes, there is a peace deal. So Israel gets to bomb. And as soon as somebody else responds, the peace deal is off. Do you see? Do you get it? That's the peace deal. So now that you have that understanding, now it might make sense. Now you might understand it. Okay. We've heard, others have theorized. It wasn't just me. I thought I was crazy. Others think that time is speeding up. They think that time is speeding up. And then there were some Russian scientists that claim to have proven time has actually sped up. Could it be CERN? This is what conspiracy theorists would tell you, that it's CERN. Some news out of CERN, by the way. Their logo is just a 666. Nothing to see here. Just a 666 logo, guys. CERN bids farewell to the Large Hadron Collider and enters long shutdown number 3. Oh, they're shutting it down. So you're thinking, okay, whatever the hell CERN is doing, maybe we can stop for a minute. Not so fast. The Large Hadron Collider is embarking on its most ambitious upgrade yet. Nice. This was from CERN this morning, by the way. They announced this morning. Today, the Large Hadron Collider, the world's most powerful particle accelerator, comes to an end of an extraordinary chapter in its scientific journey. Is this chapter the one that sped up all time as we know it? Is that what's going on? Following its final physics run, the accelerator has been switched off to begin CERN's long shutdown 3, a major program of maintenance, consolidation, upgrades, and installation work that will prepare the laboratory for the High Luminosity Collider, LHC, in the next phase in the exploration of the fundamental laws of the universe. What in the hell are they going to do next? So if time starts to slow down, we're all blaming CERN. I'm sure it's all good, guys. World's largest particle smasher halts for upgrade to boost hunt for dark matter. All right. The Large Hadron Collider is being turned off. Somebody pointed out the last time, I guess it was long shutdown number 2, was in 2008. I think it was 2008, right before the stock market crash. Just in case you were wondering. All right, here's a crazy one for you. Now, you've probably seen over the weekend a lot of the devastation in Venezuela. The death counts are encroaching 2,000. Pretty brutal stuff. By the way, there are quite a number of Americans that are in Venezuela pulling people out of the rubble. And so very proud moment. A lot of good Americans went down to Venezuela to be a part of the rescue effort, and they have been pulling people out of the rubble and saving lives. So big ups to those Americans down there dealing with the craziness in the aftermath of the earthquake. Now, there's a guy who is down there who is part of this effort, and he's making some claims that others have been echoing. They think there is a scoop up happening. They think that there are groups going in there in the midst of this chaos and scooping up people for trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking. Now, I'm going to play this video and do a bit of a reaction here. I want to be clear about something. I'm not telling you I believe this. I'm not endorsing these messages, but there's a larger point here. There's a larger thing to consider. And so while you're listening to this guy claim that there are people scooping up children for trafficking in the aftermath of this earthquake, and you think, well, that sounds crazy, there's no way. Well, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to think as a good human that can't even imagine such an evil exists. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why people believe that. And I think that's the more important story. So whether you believe this guy or not, I'm not telling you to, but there's something else behind this, which is why somebody would even believe that such a thing could happen. So here's the American in Venezuela claiming he thinks that there are kids being scooped up for trafficking.
I was watching videos coming out of Venezuela, and what's going on there is worse than what we can imagine. Now, I don't have all the answers. All I can do is use my platform and my following to raise awareness on this issue, because apparently a lot of the people looking for family members, the police and military aren't allowing them to get to the areas that they need to get to. But the real disturbing thing that's going on is that apparently they are taking traumatized and orphaned children to use for child trafficking, which breaks my heart, obviously, because, well, I mean, how evil can you get? I mean, to use something as horrific as what's happened to then go to the next step and then start taking the children is just a stain on humanity. It's not even humans doing it. These people are evil. They're not even like us, right? But this is what we're dealing with. And on top of that, the police are robbing what's left of the of anything people own out of the rubble. They're just taking stuff. And it's just horrific. Like I say, I don't have all the answers. Those people are, I'm very close to Latin America. I live in Mexico, so I know what the people are like, and I just want to share their suffering in the hope that it raises awareness on the issue, because what's going on out there is far worse than any of us could imagine. So please share this.
Now, of course, this sounds crazy, unfathomable, and how could you possibly think that? How could you possibly believe that? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm not telling you to or not to either way. But I think the takeaway is this. Why would somebody even think that? Why would somebody even believe that? And I'll even go a step further, because if you're following this story, there's multiple claims, multiple belief systems that this was an earthquake machine, or there's videos. People are claiming, during the storm before, you can see something coming down, lasing the targets. There was another person that showed the aftermath of, I think it was Turkey in 2023. They had a big earthquake in Turkey, and there was a really odd cloud formation above it. And then somebody pictured the exact same cloud formation in Venezuela. It's like, why would somebody believe all this stuff? Why would these conspiracy theories exist? It sounds crazy. It sounds unfathomable, impossible. There's no way that such evil could exist. And even if it did, how could we allow it to happen? Well, there's a reason why people believe it. There's a reason why maybe even that guy specifically believes it. And that's the problem. Whether or not that's going on in Venezuela or not doesn't change the fact that people think it is. And the reason they think it is because we just watched, really for about the last 2 years, but you could claim more. We just watched perhaps the biggest, most elite public sex trafficking operation ever get exposed, and virtually zero accountability. Of course, I'm talking about the Epstein list. Now, people will try to defend that, and they'll say, no, it was just Maxwell and Epstein, and that's it. It was literally all for Epstein, even though all the eyewitnesses say otherwise. And we can read the emails themselves and see how, no, there was some deal making going on here. Absolutely, there was a client list. Whatever the client list was, or whatever this group of people was, they obviously don't want us to know. And that's the point. So we all just saw it. We all just watched the Epstein cover-up. So it's very fathomable now that somebody would use an earthquake machine and then go in there and scoop up a bunch of children for trafficking, torture, organ harvesting, adrenochrome, whatever. Sounds crazy. Of course it does. Of course it sounds nuts. But we all watched the Epstein files cover up. We all watched the Clinton emails, the Podesta emails, the Laura Silsby's, the trafficking at our southern border for 4 years under Joe Biden. We've watched all of this in our lives, and virtually zero accountability at all. So it's not so unfathomable anymore, is it? And now we had a caller last week talking about this other online service where they're selling dolls that are plush and tight, quote unquote. Sorry to be disgusting here, but they're selling children's dolls on a website for tens of thousands of dollars that are described as tight. We all watched it before. How many times we've been down this road? Pizzagate, Epstein files, Podesta emails. It's on and on and on. And we've been down this rabbit hole almost half a dozen times with different stories now, and nothing ever happens. And so, yes, it does appear now to many people that there is a shadow secret government or society that is above the law and engages in and operates in ways that we can barely even manage to understand. But there seems to be a common factor, which is they're all into children. For whatever reason, they're all into children and trafficking children and then covering it up when they get caught. So I'm not telling you believe it. I'm not telling you believe that that's what's going on in Venezuela. But I can certainly understand why people think that. I can certainly understand why people believe that. And there will be another one. There will be another one. this Epstein one and now this new website. I don't even want to say the name of it. Caller had it yesterday on the show. I'm not even going to say the name of it. There will be another one. There will be some big new reveal where it's like, what in the hell is that? And they'll just cover it up and they won't even mention it. So it's actually very understandable why people would think that. Then there's the flock cameras. So I think it was, I think we did actually cover this last week with Nikita Bear. You remember he says, he's basically saying there's nothing wrong with flock cameras. Basically, Nikita Bear coming out as pro flock cameras. You know, this was, Nikita needs to go. And this should be Elon's this should be the big tell right here. This should be the big tell. I won't go into any other commentary on Nikita or what people think his real role is at X and whether Musk is aware of it or not. But this should be it. If Nikita Beer is going to come out in favor of the surveillance state and he's running your X platform, I'm sorry, he's got to go. Forget all the conspiracy theories about Nikita. Forget all of the different accusations and other conclusions people have reached. Forget all of that. He has now come out in favor of the surveillance state. He's got to go. As if the X algorithm and payout system hasn't been completely destroyed by him to the point now where people are getting sick of X. As if that's not enough. He's now pro-surveillance state. He should go. That should be it. That should be have a nice day. Find the exit on your own. It's time to go. Pro-surveillance state. That should be it. But in response to this, all weekend, so he's claiming, hey, there is nothing suspicious about flock cameras. They just read license plates. And so all weekend long, people were pulling up to parks and city centers everywhere. There's no cars. They're not even pointed at parking lots. They're pointed at parks and playgrounds and basketball courts and soccer fields and just thousands. And he got a community note. Thousands of responses to Nikita Bear. He claims, oh, they're just reading license plates. And people found him all over the place not reading license plates. So that should be it for Nikita. Pro-surveillance state. He should be gone. Now, they did a lot of this before anybody even knew what was happening. Now, again, I said this last week, and I still stand by it. I'm against the surveillance state, so I'm inherently against the flock cameras. But it's just like, whatever the deal is with the flock cameras, it's like a small fraction of the giant picture. Now, hey, remove the small fraction. Don't get me wrong. Get rid of them. I'm not for the flock cameras, but it's like, hey, there are way bigger fish to fry right now, but this is kind of a symptom. It's like you might have some disease, but you don't really have symptoms come to the surface, and then all of a sudden your skin breaks out, and then that's a symptom. So the flock cameras are just the system that's now the symptom that you can see, hey, you're going into an AI surveillance state. They're putting the cameras up. But still, as long as you've got this in your pocket, this is reading you, recording you, everything all the time. So I don't know how necessarily the flock cameras are. It's just another big tech boondoggle. But people are finally getting suspicious as they're seeing them pop up at their schools, their playgrounds, are saying, what is going on? Some communities, some local communities are taking action to get rid of them, like this one in Oregon.
It was a short run for flock safety cameras in the city of Woodburn. In 2025, a total of 23 cameras were installed across the city to help police track down suspect vehicles. And while police say the cameras help solve dozens of crimes, community members raised concerns that the system could allow federal agencies to access its data.
Flock security cameras that are present in Woodburn contribute to the terrorizing of our community.
City Council in November suspended the use of the cameras while the police department conducted a full review. That report confirmed what many people were afraid of, that federal agencies had accessed the system, showing nearly 6,100 searches on the city's camera network between January and November 2025. However, that number is just 0.18% of the more than 3 million total searches. And the police department says none of the searches conducted by federal agencies targeted Woodburn exclusively. The city's cameras were included in system-wide searches, contrary to city policy. According to the report, a temporary flock safety trial is what allowed federal agencies to run broad safety searches across several camera networks at once, including Woodburn's. That trial, however, appeared to have ended around June 24th, when Woodburn police say federal agency searches stopped. While Woodburn police say the cameras were used in more than 350 investigations and led to arrests, stolen vehicle recoveries, and drug seizures, concerns over the technology ultimately brought the program to an end.
So what you have right now is a political battle heating up. And there's no doubt the left, the Democrats, at the local level, people on all sides of the aisle, it's not a partisan issue at the local level. Everybody's showing up to stop flock cameras, stop data centers. This is popular across party lines. So you're seeing that a lot at the local level. At the national level, I think it's going to get a lot noisier from the Democrat side. I think the Democrats coming out against the surveillance state is going to get a lot noisier. You already see kind of Bernie Sanders leading the way. AOC has chimed in a little bit on that. I think that one's going to get a lot louder as we get closer to the midterms. And what I'm seeing from Republicans right now, and I wonder how much of this is paid for. I'm talking about digital influence campaigns. I'm talking about members of Congress that take money from the big tech lobby. Who knows, maybe even stock investments that they've made. I'm already seeing it from the Republican side. Hey, this is for safety. This is for security. This helps us arrest criminals. You say you want safer streets, this can do it. Well, you know what? That case can certainly be made. And I see that that's the case the Republicans are going to make heading into the midterms, as they're anticipating this is going to become a midterm issue. So the Democrats are just deciding we're going to run against it. Whether they mean it or not doesn't matter. They're going to run against it. The Republicans are then going to have to make their claim as to why it's a good thing. And they're going to say, oh, the Democrats are against safety, right? The Democrats are against having cities be safe. So it's kind of old hat, really. There's nothing new there. But I don't think that's the question. I don't think that's the question we should be asking ourselves. And it's certainly not a fair presentation as far as the Republican Party is concerned. The question that we should be asking is, do we want to go into a surveillance state? That's the question. So anytime a Republican wants to approach me and say, hey, you know, the flock cameras will help solve crime, and this AI surveillance state that we're building, it's going to bring crime down. And I say, well, okay, that might be true, but is it worth living in a surveillance state? And I say no. I say no. And so I wonder how they're going to force this upon us, because most of this is just kind of happening and we don't even realize it. It's like we're just looking up and we see the cameras everywhere, so we're complaining. We're just looking up. We're seeing the data centers go in everywhere, and we're trying to stop it. And the powers that be probably just assumed this was all going to go over smoothly and they wouldn't have this resistance. So that's going to be a problem. This is going to be a political issue. But if you're going to sell me, hey, an AI surveillance state will lead to safer cities, okay, but let's call it what it is. And you come out in support of an AI surveillance state, and see how popular that is. It's not. It's not. And there's plenty of things we can be doing to clean up our cities. There are plenty of things that law enforcement can be doing. We as a people, local communities as a country, there are plenty of things that we can do in our justice system and law enforcement that will make cities safer. Plenty of things we can do before we need to go into an AI surveillance state. But if we're going to wave the white flag on this, if we're just going to wave the white flag, and shame on Republicans too. If we're going to wave the white flag on law enforcement in this country, then shame on Republicans. Shame on Republicans. Because that's what you're doing. You're saying police can't do it. Law enforcement can't do it. Democrats are getting rid of the police anyway, so we just needed to live in an AI surveillance state. Just be honest. Just come out and say, we are building an AI surveillance state for your safety. They'll never say that because they know it's unpopular, but we all know that's what it is. Now, how effective is this? How effective are these systems? They talk about they've busted some crimes. They could probably bust them anyway, but maybe it shortened the time span. Well, here's a famous crime that apparently flock cameras couldn't stop. The kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie. Somebody did a flock camera surveillance hot zone here. The whole area is surrounded by flock cameras, and none of them have found a single sliver of evidence. Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped from her home over 4 months ago. Seems like all of the flock cameras in Tucson, Arizona would have brought her back unless flock isn't about solving crimes. So how effective is it really? Or is it effective at all? Or is it even for you and I to have safer cities? Or is it for something else? All fair questions. But when you hear about this, because I guarantee you it's happening, when the Republicans start to see how unpopular this system is and they realize they're going to be forced to take a stance on it, they're going to sell you, hey, we need this stuff to keep our cities safe. Say it like it is. Say it's an AI surveillance system. Say that and see how popular it is. It's not, and we don't want it. But let's just get rid of the politics for a second. And I think you just have to ask. I think we just have to ask ourselves as a people. I think we just have to be honest with ourselves as a country. Do we want to live in an AI surveillance state? And if you're going to try to sell us on that, you better come with something better than, hey, this is for your safety. No, it ain't. No, actually, it's the exact opposite, because when you build this system, there is no more safety. When you build this system, you're turning over our entire safety over to AI. That's not safe at all, actually. It's the opposite of safe. So no, this is not about safety. So if you're going to come to us as Republicans, which you're going to be forced to do in the midterms, and you're going to be forced to sell these camera systems and sell these data centers, then you better come out honestly and say, okay, we're building an AI data center, and then tell us the reasons why. Can you even show us measurables? Can you even show us the metrics of how this makes us safer or not? Because there's plenty of cases that we can prove it's not helping. There's plenty of cases where we can show that there's not just been overreach, but blatant violations of people's privacies. And this is obviously not even a popular thing. Do you want to live in an AI surveillance state if it makes you 1% safer? What about being safe from a yearbook, guys? Look out. Yearbook on the loose. New Jersey middle school yearbook recalled after Hitler photo published among student baby pics. What a troll. It's a national case, guys. They should have just let it stand. That's a funny troll. A middle school in upscale New Jersey suburb has started taking back yearbooks after it discovered a photo of Adolf Hitler in the student baby photos section. Oh, the kids. The kids are all right. Oh, we're very serious. This is the principal of Eastbrook Middle School. Earlier today, after students had already received their yearbooks, we learned that the baby pictures section of the yearbook contained an image that was later identified as an infant photograph of Adolf Hitler. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. We immediately collected the yearbooks so the image would not remain in circulation. Well, it is now. Now everybody's going to see it. As if anybody couldn't go find it on the internet, like where they found it. I want to be direct with you. The presence of this image is unacceptable. It's in history textbooks. It's literally a historical image. Look, it doesn't belong in a yearbook. Fine, it's a funny joke. Somebody got away with it. I mean, oh my gosh. Actually, yeah, you know what? By this logic, though, I actually agree with this logic. We should stop covering the Holocaust. We should stop covering World War II. The presence of these images is unacceptable. So it's time for the history textbooks to just cut the entire World War II section out, cut the entire Holocaust section out. We need to remove the entire Holocaust from our history textbooks because the presence of these images are unacceptable. That's the logic here. Obviously, if we can't have that, I mean, that's unacceptable. So, okay, bigger scandal. Yeah, bigger scandal. What's the bigger scandal? A student trolling the yearbook with a baby photo of Hitler? Or do you remember the Epstein Files photo books? How school picture day got caught up in the Epstein Files fallout. Viral posts about photo giant Life Touch zeroed in on Jeffrey Epstein's ties to Leon Black, the former CEO of an investment fund that bought Life Touch's parent company. You know, the company that does all the school textbooks, or excuse me, well, actually, they got a connection to Epstein, too. The company that does the school textbooks is connected to Epstein. The company that does the school photos is connected to Epstein. Nothing to see here, though. No big deal. Nothing to see here. I'm sure it's nothing. But hey, that picture of baby Adolf has got to go. Get that picture out of here. It's unacceptable. Meanwhile, there is a famous, she's pretty big on Instagram. She travels the world, is what she does. She travels and hikes around the world, and she just recently went to Peru, where she wanted to hike the mountains of Peru. And she went to one of their famous hiking trails, and she discovered that somebody was there occupying it, claiming it was theirs.
Isn't it insane? Israeli groups are plastering soldier stickers all over campsites in Peru and putting up no entry signs like they own the trail. This is a campsite where they are put and it says prohibited. Even my local guide is fed up with it. I mean, is this what travel entitlement looks like in 2026?
Yeah, certainly a lot of entitlement. So a bunch of Israelis show up to a major campsite on a major hiking trail. They cover up all of the signs that show how it's a public camping area. They cover all of the signs with Israel propaganda. I don't know what it is. All of them are covered, and then they just live there and claim nobody can go. Wow. That is certainly some level of entitlement. Meanwhile, you know, though, guys, they are entitled to this. They've suffered so much from anti-Semitism that they're entitled, I think. You know, I think that the anti-Semitism is what entitles them to such things, including, you know, to such little things as just taking land in Peru that is, you know, a hiking trail. That's theirs now, you know, and then, you know, or if they need to just bomb Lebanon when they have an itch to scratch. The victims of anti-Semitism now. Thousands of cases, guys. Thousands of cases of anti-Semitism. If only we could find the culprits, you know. If only we could find the individuals engaging in these thousands of acts of anti-Semitism, then maybe we could finally solve this problem. Oh, wait a second. We did. We found it. Oh, my gosh. Ashkelon hacker faces up to 35 years in prison in U.S. court. Guys, we found the anti-Semite. This is amazing. 35 years. Hold on. Let's learn more. Michael Ron David Kadar, a duly Israeli-American citizen. Oh, what? A dual Israeli-American citizen appeared in an Orlando federal courtroom this week to face sentencing proceedings for a massive wave of bomb threats that paralyzed communities across the United States. Prosecutors are seeking significant prison time for the defendant, who was convicted of orchestrating thousands of hoax threats against the Jewish community. including community centers, schools, and airlines, according to the U.S. Department of Justice. Guys, we found the anti-Semite convicted of thousands of anti-Semitic threats, and he was an Israeli. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Incredible. Hey, Ben Shapiro's got a new movie coming out. Aren't you excited, guys? Ben Shapiro, he's got a new movie coming out. I guess this is what that big IPO is all about, so they could fund one last piece of propaganda. Run, Hide, Fight Infidels, coming soon to Daily Wire Plus. Renew that subscription, guys. Ben Shapiro is going to come out with a movie telling you how bad Muslims are, because we haven't been told that for the last 30 years. They haven't been trying to convince us of that for our entire lives. So now they're going to do one more video making it probably the worst it's ever been. Now, you know, of course, if you reversed the roles in this movie, it would be illegal. You wouldn't even be allowed to do it. In fact, there was I forget the name of this movie. This is a couple of years old now. There were some Israeli journalists that did a documentary on what was happening in Palestine. They won an award. They won an award for that documentary, these Israeli filmmakers, and it was banned. It was banned from theaters because it showed what Israel was doing in Palestine. So the Israeli filmmakers that won an award had their film banned. But Daily Wire Plus will do an extremely anti-Muslim film, and they'll push that to the American public. They'll mainstream that. That's totally okay. Something that they will totally make up, by the way. It'll be a totally fake story. But when you do an actual documentary film on what's happening in Palestine, they ban that from theaters. So I'm sure you'll be excited to see that new Shapiro film, huh? That's going to be a good one, isn't it? So, you know, there was an episode of it's one of the funniest shows ever. If you've never watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, you know, Larry David, creator of Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm pretty sure they did an episode about this, though, guys. It's been a while. So former Olympic gold medalist Aly Raisman, I don't know if I'm getting that name right. Aly Raisman, you'll probably recognize her. I'll put this video up here. She was talking about how she went to a hospital recently. She had a serious issue, a stroke issue, and she went to a hospital. Well, you know what? I'll let her tell the story, and then we'll do a little commentary over the back of it here. But I've heard this before. I don't, thank you, Lord God, I don't go to hospitals. I've heard similar stuff before. I believe it was Curb Your Enthusiasm that did this, or it might have been Real Rob with Rob Schneider, actually. Maybe both of them. So she talks about her story. She shows up at the hospital. Nobody knows who she is. She gets one type of treatment. Then they find out who she is, and she gets an entirely different type of treatment.
Stress makes everything worse. So I have to be very on top of my therapy, but then also my therapist has to work with me of if I'm starting to feel off, I just don't do the exposure stuff. So it's very hard and very interesting because I'm also to your point, I'm very young. So to have something like that happen was very hard. And then also when I went both times, actually the second time.
Now, by the way, I wonder, she's having stroke. She says she's young. She's got to be in her 20s. I could look up how old she is. I think she's probably in her 20s. Why is she having strokes? I wonder if she took an experimental injection.
They didn't know who I was when I first got to the hospital, which is totally fine. That shouldn't matter. And the only reason why I share that is because my mom had said that they kept coming in and asking me to lift my legs, and I couldn't. They kept saying, "What's your name?" And I was kind of just it almost even lifting my finger would take so much energy that I couldn't even I just was so out of it. And they kept kind of rolling their eyes and not really paying much attention to me. And then finally, my mom was like, I really hate to do this, but you guys are ignoring her. I think you think she's I don't know what's going on, but you should treat everyone the same way. But she's I just want to tell you because you're not believing her, but just to give you a perspective of how abnormal this is and how freaked out I am. She was like, do you know who Aly Raisman is? And they were like, yeah, we know who she is. And my mom was like, well, that's her. And then they were like, oh my God. And then from there, they took such great care of me and were there for me. And I'm I want to share that because it's appalling. It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone deserves to get excellent medical treatment.
So there's no doubt. I think there's three factors. Here. I think one, obviously, call it celebrity, whatever it is. It has pull. It has influence. It's just the way of the world. It's just true. Now, should that apply when you're talking about, getting priority for medical care? She's not making that argument. And yet she is explaining how that's exactly what happens. Now, you want to talk about, money and influence. That's kind of a different story. In a free market, you might have access to better doctors. But she's saying, oh, when they found out I'm famous, all of a sudden they started to care about me. There's two things I wonder, though. There's two things I wonder about that. Do they think, okay, this is a famous person, and if we screw something up and, say she doesn't make it or has some sort of a serious aftermath here, we're going to look bad. That's going to be blamed on us. So is it a pressure system of, because people know who this person is, it makes us look bad? Could there be a little bit of that? I'm also curious, do people just go to the hospital and fake injuries? Is that happening? Because if that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised. Medical fraud, whatever, or just drama queens, I don't know. And so you're sitting there, you're dealing with this all day long, people faking it, embellishing it. They go to the hospital, they go to the emergency room, and they just have gas. Is that going on too? I'm wondering if there aren't multiple factors here. And then you're having strokes in your 20s. Did you take a COVID vaccine? Seems like a likely cause there.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Did you guys see there is a masked vigilante running around Mexico duct taping criminals to phone poles? They're calling him the Mexican Batman. Apparently there's a bunch of car thieves and bike bandits in Mexico City, and this guy's stalking the streets at night, bringing them in and then taping them to light posts and telephone poles. Mexican Batman. Who had that on their 2026 bingo card, which we're already hey, we're only halfway through 2026, and Mexican Batman just made the first appearance. Mexican Batman tapes men to lampposts. Vigilante in Jalisco leaves people bound to poles with ratero, Spanish for robber, scrawled on their foreheads. Hey, by the way, speaking of Batman, When is the new Batman coming out? Hold on a second. The Robert Pattinson Batman did not get the respect that it deserved. That was a great movie. Not for another year? What is taking you guys so long? Must be Pattinson is doing a bunch of other movies. A 5-year gap in between those two movies seems a little long. That was a good one, by the way. Oh, man. Do I want to play this today? Well, I guess. I've thought about, have you guys seen there's this app? I think I've seen a couple of them. I don't know exactly what it's called, so I don't want to get the name wrong. But there's this app. These things used to exist in the past. What was the original one? Oh, my gosh. When this first came about, you guys may remember, it's probably like 10, 20 years ago. And you would sit on this website and you could filter through, people get access all around the world. Guys, what was the original website? And I'm going to have to explain. As soon as I say what it was like, everybody will remember. What was the original website where you could go on there and randomly meet people from all over the world that had a webcam? And it basically just became a bunch of men, taking care of themselves. And so it just died. What? Chat roulette. That's what it was called. Chat roulette. What was that, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago? It was like, that was kind of the first one. And it was cool for like a week or two. And maybe it's still going out there. Yeah, they call it Chatterbait now. Yeah, so you get an idea. Okay. I guess, though, the problems that they had with chat roulette, they fixed with Omegle. And I've seen another one, too. I think it's called Omegle. I'm looking at the chat here. I'm looking at the chat. I see you on Rumble. I see you on X. I see you on YouTube. So I guess Omegle, because people live stream this. So I'm guessing Omegle found a way that if you're going to be, nude on the camera or satisfying yourself, then they block you from accessing their app. So that's a good thing. But that's what chat roulette was like 20 years ago. Then it just died. So anyway, to get back to the point, somebody landed in Israel, and the IDF veteran was talking to a USMC veteran, and they were talking about some of the political conversations happening in America. Candace Owens gets brought up. Listen to what the former IDF soldier says.
Who do you think Jeffrey Epstein worked for?
Israel.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, bro. He's Jewish. He's Jewish.
Yep.
And he's Jewish. He worked for the Mossad.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
I agree. And literally, that's it. They are literally knowing for blackmailing people to do what they want, and like I'm not like they can get. I can't get arrested for that because it's literally like a fact. Do you watch Candace Owens?
Yeah, I've seen her before. Yeah,
that's it. That's what you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I'm Israeli. I live in Israel. I know what's going on. Just watch her. Everything, literally everything, bro. I swear to God, I swear, my nephews and nieces, as a Jewish who's living in Israel, everything she's saying is true about child care, Erica Kirk, Epstein, Israel, literally everything. She is so fucking right, and I hate when people treat her like such a maniac she's not, bro. She was pro-Israeli. Actually, she was very pro-Israel, very, but.
So, I think the one thing that the World Cup shows us, and maybe for us Americans right now, since it's here, for me specifically, I got to go to a World Cup game. But you get to experience that and you realize, hey, we have more in common. We have more in common with people from all over the world. We have more in common with our fellow humans from all parts of this earth than we have different. And we all want to live. We all want to love. We all want to laugh. We all want to be happy. We all want to raise our families or whatever it is we're chasing. So you kind of learn that when you actually get to experience something like this. Now, specifically on the geopolitical issues, you talk about the United States, you talk about Israel, you talk about Iran. I feel like there's something inevitable here. And that's a little taste of it that you get in that short conversation. There's a much bigger language barrier between Americans and Iranians There also seems to be a technological barrier there as well. I think that there are measurements that have been put in place to keep that barrier between ourselves and the Iranian people. And unless you're receiving some form of a Western education in Iran, you probably can't speak English. This has at least been, from my knowledge and experience, the situation with Iran. But with Israel, it's different. There's a lot less technological barriers. There's a lot less language barriers between United States people and Israeli people. And I have a feeling that there's going to be this connection. There's going to be this connection. And I guess I'll just phrase it like this for lack of a better phrase right now. The American, okay, how can we say it? I'm just going to say it like this. The American anti-Semites are going to find friends and allies in Israelis. I feel there is an inevitable situation here. And you can talk about cultural issues, religious issues, and the different issues that people have. But when it comes to politics and government, I think the Israeli people are getting fed up with theirs as well, much like the United States of America people are getting fed up with theirs. And I think that a lot of people have reached the same conclusion, which is, hey, my government is evil. My government and my politicians are evil. Americans feel this way. Israelis feel this way. Iranians feel this way. Hell, I think everybody outside of El Salvador feels this way. So I feel like there's going to be an inevitable connection here. I don't really know what is going to be the major spark or the major moment where this starts to kind of manifest, but it's already, there's already signs. There's already signs that it's happening. There's already openings for potential here. And I think at the end of the day, what is it? What do we have in common? Israel has had the same government keeping them in war for their entire lives, for people my age at least. The United States of America, same government keeping them at war for our entire lives. And we're sick of it. We're just sick and damn tired of it. Maybe them for different reasons than us, but we're all sick of it. And guess what? Netanyahu, he's almost 80. Trump almost is 80 now. Biden, how old was he? 100? It's these same old men with their same old wars keeping us all fighting instead of prosperous, keeping the momentum and the trend of death and destruction instead of freedom, wealth, and prosperity. I think it's all going to happen. I think it's all going to happen. And the reason why I pointed out with Israel, because you could say that about any other country. You could say that about Russia. You could say that about Ukraine. But with Israel, it's different because it's really, truly, it's the Israeli government and the U.S. government that have formed this dual coalition of nonstop wars. That's what it is. And you'll hear conservatives in America say how sick and tired they are of Muslims. We're sick and tired of Muslims coming here. You guys support the wars that forces them here. It's like, have you ever even looked at the root cause? Have you ever investigated why they come here? Because the military-industrial complex, our taxpayer dollars, and Israel keeps the Middle East at a constant state of war, and then they all get relocated to the West. Europe, America, and now you get Muslims. And you have Islamic centers, and then you all bitch and complain, and then you go support the exact wars that sends them here. And so, quite frankly, it is the people of Israel. I don't even care about religion. This isn't about religion. It's going to be up to the people of Israel to get their evil leaders out of power, just like it's going to have to be up to us, the American people, to get our corrupt, evil people out of power. That's what it is. Now, for the time being, it feels like, as I've said, the influence world is kind of dead. I don't know if I would say it's dead, but it's in a coma. It can come back. But the influence political world is in a coma. It's all perception now. It's all perception, and it's all trying to figure out where it is that you stand on all of these issues. So everybody's kind of in their own little world of, all right, where do I stand? Am I on the right? Am I on the left? Am I sick of all of it? What are the issues I care about? And then it's the perception. The Republican Party is the party for the rich. The Democrats are the socialists. Trump is working for Israel. It's like these are all the perception things that are going to impact the election. Hey, it's harder than ever for me to keep my head above water financially. The economy's not good. No matter how many times they tell you it is, the reality, the perception is that the economy is not good. Gas prices are up. We're in another war in the Middle East. So there's no influence that can change that. There's no influence that can change that. It's all perception. And so what is the perception of the American people? Our government is corrupt, and no matter who we elect, we get the same crap. And maybe there's a common factor there in Israel. And if Israel can get the war hawks, and that's being kind, that's like the nicest thing you could say about Benjamin Netanyahu is he's a war hawk. That's like a compliment compared to what he should really be described as. But it's the Netanyahus of Israel. It's the neocons of America. It's the lobbyists. These are the evil forces that are standing in the way of our countries truly being at peace. And that's what we've realized. But hey, most Republicans can't even wrap their head around that. So you say, hey, you don't want Muslims here? I don't want the Muslims here. Then we need to stop bombing their countries because that's why they come here. Well, Trump will deport them. Trump will deport them. Really? Because he just won a Supreme Court decision that ended their temporary protective status, and they're not going to deport them. So how's that one going for you? Not so hot. Not so hot, ladies and gentlemen. All right. You know what? We don't have too many super chats today, so I think we got time for some phone calls. I will say, we can open it up. We can open up the microphone here. DMT was, DMT's in my own, he's ranting in my messages. We'll open it up. Hey, if DMT wants to get on the mic, DMT, we got probably about 30 minutes here before I want to go to the super chats, maybe a little longer. If you want to open up the mic, we'll get a DMT on here. But let's open up the phone lines. I've been having so much fun on the phones with you guys that I'm beginning to embrace it more often here, the phone lines. We're having a little more fun. And now that I'll go ahead and say it right now. Now that I've got the mustache, now that you guys are going to be calling in for a mustache ride, let's just go ahead and say it. We'll do a little mustache ride too, so you guys can flame me for the mustache. But I will say, I think this is the final look. I think I've decided. I think this is the look. Get used to it. You may hate it now. You're going to love it eventually. You may hate it right now, and everybody can have their fun and laugh, and that's funny too. It's goofy. I'm eccentric. I'm goofy. That's cool. But I think this is the look. I wasn't expecting it, actually. I was expecting clean shave, but I've never had a mustache in my life. So I said, why not? Let's see what it looks like. And now it's just there. Actually, I tried to shave it. It wouldn't go away. It's an unshavable mustache. So love it or hate it, it stays, at least for now. Okay, the phone lines are open. Number to call in, 747-255-60, 747-255-60. Remember, I answer and you are on the air. I just ask you your name and where you're from, but you are on the air. First caller of the show, what's your name, where you're from?
This is Karen from California.
All right, Karen, what do you got today?
Well, I will say happy birthday.
Thank you.
But I thought you would come to your senses over this. This isn't right. I think we need to go back to all the hair, the flowing hair. And I don't know if I'd like to talk to your manager.
I am the manager.
Uh-oh.
Karen, you have the manager. Karen has officially requested the manager, guys. She's officially requested. You have the manager right now, Karen. You have the manager. You don't even know. See, this is the thing about a Karen, though. You see, the Karen is like a dog chasing a car. It can never catch the car. It wouldn't know what to do. So Karen always asks for the manager, but she never actually gets the manager. Now she has the manager. She doesn't know what to do with the manager. This is the moment, Karen. This is for all Karens right now. You have the manager. What are you going to do?
I'm going to tell you to grow your hair back, or maybe you're going to lose some of your listeners.
Why would people tune in to see me instead of listen to what I have to say?
Because that was part of the package.
The hair didn't get cut. The hair is actually longer.
But it doesn't look, I mean, it's like straggling on the side of your face and stuff. It
Karen.
just doesn't look right.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to charge you double now. You're going to be charged double for your phone calls now, Karen. Whatever you're paying a minute, it's doubled now.
Wow. I'm not retaliating.
That's the power the mustache has. I never had that kind of power until I got the mustache. Now I can call your phone company and I can say, hey, your client Karen, double. All right? So Karen gets the manager now, ends up paying double. Let that be a lesson. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
Oh, yeah, I'm Paul from New York.
All right, Paul, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, I think it's very interesting now knowing that we have the MOU basically in the trash.
Yeah.
And Iran basically got everything that they wanted, and the relationship with Israel and the United States is out in the open. So I'm just interested to see what happens next, and I kind of want to hear your take on what you think the near future looks like.
Well, you notice I didn't even cover any of that today. I mean, I think I mentioned, obviously I mentioned Israel striking Lebanon, but I didn't really cover it today. You know, the whole thing has become so comical because it's like the one thing, and I opened myself up for this, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, when I was like, hey, I have hope, right? Everybody sat here and made fun of me. I guess for multiple weeks in a row, I'm the butt of the joke. So have a laugh here, whether it's my hair or my hope. But 2 weeks ago, I was like, hey, I think this could be different. I was like, I think this could be good. I think we're going to finally get out of here, even if it is a bait and switch for the midterms. It's like, okay, it looks good. And it's all bullcrap. It's like there is no point in covering it because it's all bullcrap. So who knows?
I think it was a masterful job by Iran getting what they wanted and playing the fool of the United States with our relationship with Israel.
Then here's
and
the
now
question. So
the
let
world
me ask
can
you this
see it.
then. Let me ask you this, because a lot of people are reaching the same conclusion that Iran is getting everything it wants. And then depending on where you go in the American commentary, you know, one side will tell you Trump came out on top. The other side will tell you Iran came out on top. And then the third angle is, well, Israel's pissing and crying again. But obviously, whatever is coming out of the Trump administration then is just a lie, right? I mean, it's like everything that they've told us has just either been an outright lie or never ended up coming true.
I mean, anybody who says that Trump or Israel or any of the, like, our side came out on top is simply just coping. That's just not the reality. The reality is that we played into the trap that Iran set for us, and Lebanon and Israel is the true, ace in the hole, because that will never end.
Well, I'll tell you one other thing. I have a feeling that the war with Russia and Ukraine is about to heat up, and I actually think it's going to make a lot more sense now. I think it was always about Crimea. And Ukraine, for whatever reason, now is actually able to get drones into Russia. They've not been able to do that for the entirety of the war. Now they're actually able to do it. Now they're going after Crimea. That's like the crown jewel. Between the two countries, Crimea is like the crown jewel. Do
you see any relation? Between the two conflicts?
Well, yes, actually, now I do, because it looks like, I mean, I don't want to get too much into a history lesson, but you can look it up. They're going to claim that Crimea is Israeli territory. That's what they're going to do.
That's an interesting take.
I think that's what they're going to do. Now, I don't know if it's fair to try to connect this to the Netanyahu regime. I don't know if it's fair to try to connect this to greater Israel, but you can go back in history. There is a Jewish claim to that land, and I'm starting to think that that's what this whole thing was all about. Because if you notice,
That's very interesting.
Because if you notice, I didn't even really think like that until I started to see the pressure on Crimea, and it looks like Ukraine is going for Crimea, and NATO is behind them. I'm starting to think now it's what this whole thing was all about. So, okay, yeah, there's other issues. Putin wants to protect the people in eastern Ukraine. Putin wants to protect his borders. Putin is trying to stand up against NATO. There's other resources, energy. There's all these concerns. And then now all of a sudden you see this new push for Crimea and this new identity push that, oh, it was never Russia, actually. It was actually Jewish territory. Oh, now it starts to make sense. And when you look at the government,
I could certainly see that.
When you look at the government,
Oh, good.
Well, when you look at the government in Ukraine, starts to make even more sense.
Oh yeah, certainly. My connection, and you kind of hit on it quickly there. I think this is there's a big deterrent, or a big hinging point with energy right now. And I know that a lot of our economic growth is tied to AI. So I feel almost as with the issue that Iran poses is we are hemorrhaging with the Strait. That's a lot of where our energy comes from, oil, and the trade that brings us our chips that allows these things to work. The other thing that I'm noticing is Ukraine seems to be driven a lot by the data centers and the land that they're trying to take up, and a lot of the stuff that was going on even in the Biden administration with the biolabs and the black budget businesses that are going on over there. So I just find those things to be somewhat interconnected. And then obviously you have the issue that's coming up with Taiwan. And I feel like with that, all of those things coupling together, our main source of economic growth right now is the AI boom. So it's like that's very dependent upon a lot of different things. And two of those.
They just found a lithium mine. They just found some major mine in Nigeria. So don't be surprised if there's a new invested interest to save.
That was kind of what I was getting at with Ukraine.
Oh, we're going to save the Christians in Nigeria. Yeah, they're just going to go strip mine the country is what they're going to do. You know what though? That
was what I thought about Ukraine, honestly.
Yeah, you hit on the one thing there, which is the energy crisis. What is the reality of the energy crisis? I don't think anybody really knows that. I don't think our media is being honest or even being truly informed about it. Maybe that is a bigger factor than we realize. Is Trump and this war have caused such an energy crisis? It's such a disaster. Now all of a sudden decisions are having to be made in a completely different mindset. And so it's not about foreign interest anymore. It's not about, let's protect Israel because they're the victims in the Middle East anymore. It's, holy shit, we're out of oil. What are we going to do? And now you got the situation in Taiwan that Trump is losing control of. And it seems like Crimea is going to become the focus again. You know, the one thing as Americans, we always talk about we've never had a land invasion. Okay, except for Mayorkas. But it's like, that's not what this is going to be about. This is not going to be an issue of a land invasion. This is going to be an issue where I hope this isn't the case. But it looks like it's an issue of Trump has just bitten off way too much. He's bitten off way too much. It's way too much than we can chew. We didn't take care of the domestic issues first, and we could be in a serious energy crisis with no way out. And so all they can do is come back to us and say, oh, we won the war for the 100th time. And, oh, we're getting everything we won out of the war. And it's just not happening. And then every time where we think we're finally getting out of it or there's been a deal signed, the very next day the bombs start dropping from Israel on all their neighbors, and then the peace deal is done and we get screwed again. And we're sitting here saying, can we just get rid of them? Israel keeps ruining this. Can we just get rid of them? And we can't. And then people say, why? Because they own our government. Well, let's stop that. You can't do that. You're an anti-Semite. Oh, okay. That's where we're at. So it's all a big clown game. It's all a big clown world shell game that they play with us. So I just don't, it's like, what's the point of even covering it anymore? They just lie all the time. They just make crap up all the time. Good call. Next caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, Owen. Corey from Florida. How you doing?
Good. Did you say Corey?
Yep.
All
Corey,
right. Okay.
girl Corey.
Corey, go ahead.
Your wife. Hi. Hey, so it's real funny. Hey, I'm kind of new to you and everything, but I was watching your show and I gave you a super chat regarding Florida, and I got some great reactions and I had some weird people reactions. Anyways, can I give you like a 1 minute synopsis of what's going on with the property taxes here in Florida?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. Thank you. So basically, our governor, Ron DeSantis, had a plan for eliminating property taxes for people that are homesteaded, meaning the home that I live in, not rentals, not whatever. And he had a very crystal clear plan that he put to the Florida legislature, which are the guys in Florida that we vote for to stand for us. And basically, they're all a bunch of, MAGA Trump butt-kissing people that have been after DeSantis for 2 years because they do not want to give him any wins.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then, so what they did was they took Governor DeSantis's proposal, which would be a constitutional amendment to the Florida Constitution, and they changed it. Now, they watered it down. I mean, granted, it was still going to be good. They were going to raise our homestead property exemption. Right now, we get $50,000, whoopee in today's world, off of our homestead taxes. They were going to raise it to $175,000 next year, and then $250,000 the year after that, which I'm all for. I live here. We got tourists everywhere, whatever. Well, the fact that they watered it down because they didn't want to give DeSantis a win, and unfortunately, DeSantis even came out today and said, well, that wasn't the proposal I wanted.
And this is the Republicans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're never serious.
Attention.
Well, they're never serious. They're never serious, and they probably just did a game with you. They probably just pretended they would do it. And I don't know if DeSantis is involved, but then DeSantis says, hey, I'm going to pretend to do this, and then you guys come and block it, and we'll pretend like, oh, I couldn't do it. By the way, same thing is happening in Mississippi. You're going to hear from conservative media. You're going to hear from Trump. And they're going to be complaining about this lawsuit out of Mississippi that Coney Barrett just voted against Trump on. In Mississippi, they're saying we're going to count ballots even after the election. And so, look, I'm no fan of Coney Barrett. She comes out and she says there is no law in the state of Mississippi. There is no law that we can enforce this. So you can agree with her or not. Her argument was that there is no law. Now, the dissenting opinion is there is a larger law and there's a color of law, and you can't do mail-in ballots like this because there's no law that affirms this, but there's no law against it. So Coney Barrett says there's no law in Mississippi that says you cannot count a mailed-in ballot after the election. Such a law doesn't exist. So essentially it's up to Mississippi. Well, guess what? The people that defended this against Trump, the people that went against Trump to the Supreme Court to protect mail-in ballots to be counted after the election were Republicans. It was the Republicans in Mississippi that are defending late mail-in ballots. What are we doing here? What are we doing? So the Republicans love to play these games. The Republicans love to play these games and pretend like they're for solving a problem. And then when the problem doesn't get solved, they throw their hands in the air. And then you look behind the curtain, it's just all Republicans playing tiddlywinks with one another. So it sounds like that's what's happening in Florida. That's what's happened in Mississippi. The whole thing is just pathetic. I said this, I opened the show. I'll say it right now. I will solve right now. I will solve the voter integrity issue. It's very simple. If you don't want to make big changes, if you want to claim we got to keep the technology, okay, it's very simple. When I go to put my Scantron sheet in the ballot machine, I should see a live ticker that my vote counted. And so all the different candidates, whatever, all the different issues on that board, when I plug in my Scantron, I should be able in live time to watch all the things I voted for go one up on the screen in front of me. And then I know, guess what? My vote just counted, and it counted for the things that I voted for. And then you're done. And you don't need to do anything. You don't need to rewrite laws. You don't need to do all this garbage. How many mail-in ballots are actually flipping an election? And if you can't get your mail-in ballot in time, it doesn't count. It's not that hard. It's really that simple. And they just can't do it. I mean, my goodness, that took 60 seconds. We just solved it. It took 60 seconds. And they're going to fight for 60 years in Congress and never do anything. Next caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Yes, I'm Jay Medina from Commerce, Texas.
All right, Jay, go ahead.
Well, I noticed we're talking about property taxes and this stuff with the homeowners and the property values and all this stuff, how Trump refused to sign a homeownership bill because, I want homeowners to have high home values. Well, I'm here to say that as a homeowner myself, high home values hurt us too. Like if I want to go buy another
property
home,
taxes,
even with,
Is it because of the property taxes?
It's not just the property taxes. It's that too, but it's also because if let's say I want to sell my home for $80,000 to buy a $150,000 home. Well, that's more difficult for me than if I sell my home for $25,000 to buy a $45,000 home. Make sense?
Yeah, it's screwy.
Yeah. So that's just what I wanted to get out there, that he can't use this argument of, it helps homeowners to have high property value. No, it doesn't. Sometimes maybe, but it's really not the case on the whole. I just wanted to get that out there.
Well, they screw you too because they'll appraise your house. It's like, well, what does that do? That means nothing. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's that too. It's that too.
My house
but I'm
is
just
what
putting
my
it out
house.
there that
The house is what you
I'm
paid
just putting
for.
it out there that. Yeah, go ahead.
The house is what you paid for it. The house is what somebody else is willing to pay for it. They can send these appraisers out and they can say, your house is worth this amount of money and it could be 20% more than you could sell it for. And now you're getting screwed.
Yeah, it's that too. And that makes the problem worse. But I'm more attacking. You're right. That is there and that amplifies the problem. But I'm more focusing on what Trump said about how, high home values helps homeowners. No, they don't. I mean, I'm not saying always that's always the case, but generally speaking, it doesn't. I just want to get that out there.
And now we're hearing that they may even increase interest rates because of the state of the economy now. So it looks like you're not getting a interest rate cut. It looks like you're going to get an interest rate increase now is what we're hearing. But who knows what the future of the Fed is going to be right now. But that's what's being reported. Anticipating a rate increase. All right, next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
It's Jordan from Alabama, Owen.
All right, Jordan, go ahead.
3 things real quick I'm going to fire off. Owen, the hair and stash fire, number 1. Don't change it up. Love it. Number 2, Trump, all the excitement we had from him 2 weeks ago, completely gone. I'm dead again. And I completely believe in Tim Dillon's theory. He wants to use a nuke. He wants to be the president that uses a nuke. He wants to go down in history. Third thing, World Cup predictions for Wednesday, USA. Let me know. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. That's a good call. Well, the Trump one, I'd like to think the opposite about Trump. I'd like to think that he doesn't want that to be his legacy, which is, of course, ironic considering that is the trajectory of his legacy right now. And it's all this weird thing. Peace president. He's literally the war guy now. He's like the biggest warmonger now. He just says peace a lot while he's instigating all of these wars. So I guess if you follow that trend, you think, okay, he will be the one that does it. I don't know if that's actually Trump, but I do think that's that's boomer conservatism. It's like that's what this entire age group, I don't even know if it's fair to call them boomers because they're really neocons. They're really neocons and warmongers. But they all mostly of that generation. And it's like they all seem to want this. It's like they all seem to want to live to see a nuclear war. It's like there's some weird itch that they have that they want to start another nuclear war. And they want to see a World War III. It's like they want to see it. They want to do it before they leave. Seems some weird agenda, some weird itch that they have. And maybe it's literally MK Ultra mind control. But it does seem that there are a group of people in D.C., in the media, neocons. They do seem to be mostly boomers. And they just seem to be obsessed with war. And maybe that is it. Maybe they do want to be the one that drops a nuke. Maybe they do want to be the one that starts World War III. I mean, I used to think Trump would not want to be that person, but I don't know. Maybe you're more right. Maybe that is the case. As far as the U.S. game, that's still 2 days away. So let's just wait on that. Let's just wait on that and enjoy the games that we have until we get to that point. We'll do that. But, yeah, the knockout stages have begun, and it's been a good time. All right, next caller, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, Stacy from South Carolina. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you, Stacy. Go ahead.
So just a quick call because my phone's probably going to die soon. But just thanks for all that you do. And I think, though, that we have to look at, like, beginning of COVID, like, who is our president and, you know, transfer of wealth, what's happening now. I think it's just, like, the long plan. And I believe in Trump. I worked for him when I was in New York. I've called before. But anyway, long story short, Elon Musk, look at him. Could be all the same stuff. You know, they just take your pick. You know, is it going to be nuclear and industrial complex, or is it going to be AI? So just stay strong, everybody. Be hopeful and live life and laugh. Cheers.
That's right. That's all you can do. By the way, that pisses him off more than anything at this point. That pisses him off more than anything at this point. Sometimes you got to just let go and observe from afar until you get to a point of enjoying it. And then they look at you enjoying life and they get angry. They want what you have. Next caller. What's your name? Where you're from?
Hello?
Yep. Go ahead. What's your name? Where you're from?
Hey, what's up? What's up, Owen? It's Ivan from LA.
All right, Ivan, go ahead.
No, I'm just I'm just gonna respond to well, it's a great show. You're gonna see in one of your super chats that girl that called earlier from Florida talking about the shenanigans that they did to DeSantis with the property tax thing. Apparently she did not like your response, and she.
Oh.
Well, I'll just wait till you read your super chat.
All right. Well, looking forward to that then.
Yeah, that's cool. No, but other than that, oh man, I just went blank. I'm enjoying FIFA right now. All the games, even the countries I don't even like pay attention to. And you're right. It just shows how everybody leaves whatever crap behind when they sit in their seats. Everybody's on the same page, and it's fun. And I wish the world was like that, but unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah. By the way, thank you for the call. Man, is Iran just getting tortured and tormented right now? You know, whether or not you think they're coming out on the right side of these negotiations, they are getting bombed all the time. I mean, they are in a war. They are suffering casualties and destruction. And then they have heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak in the tournament. First, they're not even allowed to really travel. So they get treated like the Iranian men's soccer team gets treated like criminals every time they travel here. They're not even allowed to stay here. So because of that, they have to go through strict security, and they have to travel into the country on game day. So it makes it impossible to compete at a high level. Then they're in their final game of the group tournament with a chance to advance, and they score a goal that probably shook the country as much as the last bomb Israel dropped. a morale boost that they probably needed desperately. And then FIFA takes it away. They take the goal away, claiming that a pinky toe was offsides. In an extremely rare offsides event where the goalie is ahead of your last two defenders, making it even more confusing to the common fan. But then it's a pinky toe that they claim is offsides, and they take the goal away from Iran, and then they're out of the tournament. Then some other results happen, and Iran is back in the tournament. Because of the new expanded field, Iran enters as a potential wild card when Algeria scores a goal in the last minute of their game versus Austria. I think it was Austria or Switzerland. I can't remember. So Algeria scores in the last minute buzzer beater of their game, and Iran is back. Iran is in the tournament. And then the immediate ensuing kickoff, 30 seconds later, Austria scores a goal, and Iran is out again. Oh, my gosh. And people are saying it was rigged. They're saying it was rigged to keep Iran out of the tournament. Well, you know what? Maybe, but at least you guys got in. They don't let Russia compete. And who knows? Maybe Palestine could have competed, but the team was all killed by Israel. So Palestine might have been able to field a team, but Israel annihilated their entire team off the field, and then Israel couldn't even have a team to compete. So, oh well. But man, that's got to be one of the more brutal heartbreaks I think that there's ever been in a World Cup. Is what Iran had to go through. And by the way, I think that we witnessed the greatest group stage World Cup ever. Messi, I think, broke 3 records. Ronaldo broke a record. All the dramatic finishes, the epic moment in Mexico City with Ochoa getting a standing ovation, the U.S. men's team playing its best ever on home territory. The last game, literally the final game of group stage, was a buzzer-beating goal. Maybe the best group play round in World Cup history, and we witnessed it right here. Record attendance, too. Record attendance. Got to give it credit. Got to give it credit. It's been a success. And so far, 2 games in the knockout stage, both ended in a final second goal, and now you've got Germany and Paraguay in extra time. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Unless you don't like the World Cup and you don't like soccer, then you're not enjoying it. You really couldn't care less, and you're probably telling me to shut up right now. Okay, well, that's you. You do you. Okay, let's get into our super chats as we get to our final minutes of today's transmission. Owen Schroyer, wifey, leading us off. She just had to talk trash. Isn't it with women? You know, it's like just always trying to degrade. This is supposedly she wants to be a wifey here. She's going to degrade me like this. Please. Who keeps sabotaging you? Shroy Vey. All right, that's funny. I give you that one. That's a funny one. Shroy Vey. I guess I'm sabotaging myself. Sorry. What are you going to do? I woke up like this, actually. I don't even make these decisions. I just wake up. I don't even know what's happening. Jeter's gift basket. I'm your Huckleberry. Dread Seamus. What is up with that fighting the army of 12 monkeys Bruce Willis hairdo? Does Bruce Willis have long hair in that movie? I don't remember that. That movie is so strange. I don't even really remember what Bruce Willis looks like in that movie. Actually, now that you mention it, it's a strange movie. It's a good movie. Bruce Willis hairdo. Give me a break. Bruce Willis has never had hair like this. At least have an accurate comparative here. Best half B-Day, yay in Tampa. F. Rick Scott, Chance hurt. Fishback with Joel Webman at Fort Lauderdale. 2H1B Bayronne AI robots crashed rally. I saw those robots were funny, whoever brought those ones. Colombia versus Portugal in Miami. That was a great game, great finish. Yeah, yay, Tampa. You know, I was going to cover that again. He had the 2-night show in Tampa Bay. They tried to cancel it, didn't work. And I think last night he said, we're uncancelable, something along those lines. It is whether you like his music or not, whether you like the individual or not, or the things that he has said over the years or not, it is a statement, though. It is a statement that you cannot cancel him, and you're not going to use these woke attacks on people, you know, calling them racist or, you know, whatever the buzzword is, anti-Semites. It doesn't work. So Kanye West can say whatever the hell he wants, and it doesn't matter who he pisses off. He's going to sell out a stadium of 70,000 people, and you can just cry about it, bitch. And maybe it's a little inspiring to speak your mind and not be afraid of the bullies and the mafia. Hey, we don't control anything, but since you said that, we're going to cut you off from the world that we don't control. Got another show coming up in Chicago. Soldier Field. Byron used fake AI Charlie Kirk video to endorse himself. Wow, really? Is that true? I haven't seen that. MAGA goes narc Karen. Karen was great. We love Karen. That's a good call. She plays the role perfectly, actually. You got to love those calls that play the role. Dozers, I don't know if you know this, Owen. Did you know that the biggest church in the Middle East is in Bahrain? Google it. Well, I know a lot of old Christian churches and heritage sites have been completely destroyed by Israel in the last 2 years. But Christians don't seem to have a problem with that. Shannon Joy is right. The goal is to blitzkrieg us with manufactured crises to get us to cry uncle and beg for the techno-fascist police state. Does fault. Well, that's a pretty big bet that they think will beg for the police state. I don't know if that's a bet that they're willing to play. It could be an end result, but I don't know if that's the bet that they're making. I don't think... Now, when you talk about manufactured crises, yes. But I don't think us crying uncle, they're just going to force it on us. They'll just keep hammering us with, black swan events, false flag events until they just say, see, we have to have it. That's what it feels like. They'll just keep pounding us with this stuff. It's like, of course we know. There's only so many powerful people that can pull this stuff off. And it's going to be so obvious. I mean, you can't even have an earthquake anymore without people thinking it's man-made. Are you kidding me? You think you're going to manufacture some black swan event here to get us to change our minds on going into an AI surveillance state? People don't even believe earthquakes are real. Give me a break. The 250 fare is worse today than yesterday. They tried to trot out Dr. Oz and Dean Cain. This is sad. Make it stop. Trump is officially cooked. Yeah, Woofy. Yeah. Well, look. It's the Trump branding that did this. I mean, let's just be honest. The Trump sell doesn't sell anymore. People just, it's cringe. It's, ugh. The Trump sell ain't doing it. I think it'll be good for the 4th. I think once you actually get to the weekend, I think it'll pop off. But yeah, nobody cares about hearing another campaign slop speech from Trump. Nobody wants these Trump cabinet members to go up there and spew a bunch of garbage, nonsense propaganda. And I wonder too, they keep canceling speakers and performers and then saying, oh, it's weather this or it's whatever that. I think people are dropping out because nobody's there. And it's actually sad. I don't know what they thought they were going to pull off here. I don't know how they thought they were going to pull this off. And if the intention was, the thought was, hey, America is going to be on fire. The economy is going to be booming. We're not going to have any new wars. We're really going to be focusing on America and reformation of government. It'd be like, then this would be huge. It's like if you weren't in another war in the Middle East, if this administration and this Congress wasn't run by the foreign interest, if they weren't building the AI surveillance state data centers here, then you could probably pull this off and people would be really excited to show up and celebrate America, and there'd be a massive rise in patriotism. But that all got scuttled because of how corrupt this administration is and how much betrayal there has been. So now it's flatlining. But I do think it'll be big on the 4th, though. I think the 4th show will probably be successful and fun. But it's definitely a non-starter so far. Drake, F poor people and blue-collar workers. Wealth gap isn't real. Don't be commie. Trump and the big Yahoo are winning so much. You're just tired of winning. All right, yeah. You got me on that one. You got me. Mark Multurds. Mark Wayne McMuffin. Hey, the Supreme Court said we can deport him, so we're not going to deport him. Winning. Mitch wastes away the hours conversing with the flowers. It's amazing how it's like a non-story. I mean, this has been the case with Mitch McConnell for years, by the way. He doesn't even vote. Somebody owns and votes for Mitch McConnell now. And it's like, hi, that's pretty clear corruption. We need a senator there that can actually think and talk, maybe. No, he is a puppet. But he's not even a puppet anymore. We don't even know what's going on. He could be in a hospital bed for 2 weeks straight. Nobody knows. Meanwhile, birds, especially crows, are destroying the Israel flag. I saw some video of that, but I've only seen one. Am I missing something? My town has more June for Jesus yard signs this year. Oh, the Pride Month ain't hitting. Yeah, I forgot about that segment. I tried to forget that we even covered that. Lose the blonde hair and the mustache. Get a Latina girlfriend. The hair and the stash is not going anywhere, guys. It's not. This is it. This is the look now. It could be this way for a long time. You know, I rocked the last look for about 10 years. I was actually talking to my mom about that over the weekend. And she was like, oh, yeah, well, you know, you had the beard and that look for like 10 years. I was like, yeah, that's right. I did have it for about 10 years. So maybe this is for 10 years. I promise you it's longer than 10 days, though. You're going to like it. It's going to grow on you, and then it's going to make a lot of sense. You're going to say, yep, that's it. Some of you already see it. Some of you are already ahead of the curve. Some of you are already visionaries. Little Saigon, happy Pride Month to everyone in here commenting on Owen's appearance. At the end of the day, I agree. It's like, why do you care? This is a me thing. So I don't know why, but hey, whatever. You have to look at me. So if you want to laugh, then have a good laugh. Content is still the same. Content's actually better, actually. King Adol, I got 2 birds for them, one on each hand, and they're reusable. Happy 4th of July. Are you in Massachusetts? Are you in potential violation of a flag law? Because you could hurt a bird. We've been hearing from the complaints now. The birds are running out of airspace, guys. You can't fly a flag on the 4th of July. Robert, kiddy diddlers using the earthquake machines again. That's where we're at. Or at least that's what people think. Yeah. Fishback, 2026, no AI data centers, no Flock, no Palantir. Andrea Jordan. As a long-time supporter of Owen, I was pissed they replaced him with Ricky Bobby Fabio. These savages. Does Ricky Bobby didn't have a mustache, did he? I'm going to have to look that up, but I don't think so. You're thinking of Ron Burgundy. Yeah, Ricky Bobby did not have a mustache. He had the, what do they call it, under the chin? It's not a full goatee. It's like a French thing. The French patch. And then didn't he end up losing to a Frenchie too? Was that the full circle in the movie plot there? No, it's a Ron Burgundy mustache, actually, is what it is. And I know there are there are people that want to ride. They are looking for a mustache ride. Sorry. It's not that easy. Maverick Cuba, you're slowly morphing into Val Kilmer. I'll be the Maverick to your goose. Marry me. See? Told you they wanted the mustache rides. I just hope that's a woman. Good Lord. Happy belated birthday. Thank you, Dustin. Captain Ard. Israel ended more innocent civilians than Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran combined last decade. Don't care about me, but if forced to I'll side with humanity. Yeah. And that's the problem, as I've been saying. You know, the Israel supporters, the Israel loyalists in America that have now been forced to defend this case, and they've been forced it against the left for years, but they just say, oh, it's leftist, oh, this is liberal, and so that's kind of how they just walk away from the conversation without winning it. But now they have to have the conversation with conservatives. Now they have to have the conversation in right-wing circles, and they can't. And they try, though. You notice they try to say, oh, you're just a liberal, you're just a Democrat. No, I'm not. You're just a socialist. You're just a communist. No, I'm not. You just lost the argument. You just lost the debate. So that's always been how they've been able to escape this, is they just say, oh, you're a liberal, and walk away. Now that they're actually having to engage in serious debate here and discussion with right-wingers and conservatives, now you see their arguments fall all over themselves, and they really have no leg to stand on. And that's the most obvious part right there. When you get into the moral high ground, Israel has no moral high ground, and that's been their big claim. That has been the big claim in the Middle East, that the United States of America, its people, have been forced into these policies that they don't support with the argument that, oh, Israel has the moral high ground. Well, now, beyond any reasonable doubt, Israel does not have the moral high ground. And if anything, Israel is the morally the worst in the Middle East now, is at least the perception, the conclusion that people have reached. So it's like, okay, how do you argue that they are the morally superior country when they have ended more innocent lives than every other country in the Middle East combined? That's kind of a tough stance to defend, isn't it? So they can't defend it, so they just call you names. And then they go woke. Corey. Oh, this is, okay, here we go. Florida property tax elimination. DeSantis did get it done, sent to Florida maggot legislator that he wanted to be on the November ballot, requires 60% of voters to be enacted. Florida magnet legislator changed the amendment he signed and still on the ballot. Will fail, watered down crap. So that's what we got into. I guess you did a follow-up. So the real question is DeSantis getting screwed over, or is DeSantis playing tiddlywinks with the Republicans to pretend like he's going to do something, only to not do something, hoping that at least pretending to can boost his electability should he run for president? Just do it, Ron. End property taxes. Be the hero. You could run and win for presidency on that. That's how much people are sick of taxes. That's how desperate people are. They say, oh my gosh, Americans are voting for a socialist. Yeah, cut taxes, run as a conservative, and actually cut taxes and see how popular you are. You'll be more popular than a socialist. If you had a governor that cut state income taxes, property taxes, like let's say a governor abolished or slashed 3 separate taxes and then ran for president on, I'm going to cut all your taxes like this, they would win. But a Republican won't do it, so Democrats run as socialists and they win. Because Republicans are socialists too. They just don't say it. Elusive, try out my crack out energy recipe. Oh, here we go. Carbonate water filtered from Cove Pure, crash out energy, citrus acid, taurine powder, and erythritol. Okay, that's your recipe here. I will say, so it has the bitter, earthy taste. That's because it's organic. It's all natural. It's organic. No synthetic flavors or sugars. So it kind of has, if you like the taste of pomegranate, kind of that earthy, bitter taste, then you really like the taste. If you don't like that taste, maybe you don't like the flavor so much. But I did notice I added it with some sparkling water. it kind of enhances it a little bit. It kind of makes it get that little, like, that kind of punch that you get from energy drinks. So it was interesting mixing it with some sparkling water. It's always good to mix it with juice too. But it's, people are really liking it. People are really liking it. I'm getting a lot of reviews personally from it as well. Crashout.energy. I don't know where I need to check on the stock. I think we're in our final, like $100 or excuse me, like 100. I think we got maybe 100 left or so. So I think by the end of, definitely by the end of the July, and we'll have to make a decision if we want to do another run of that or a new flavor or something else. I'm getting hate on the chimp back, that chimp out. I don't think too much pushback on that. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off. So we'll see what happens. Appreciate that, Elusive. Thank you, George or Joe or Nerga. Thank you. DT Gypsy. Hate the gold accents. Still tuning in occasionally. Still agree with you on Trump. We got played. 3 times voter and sick of the lies. You don't like the gold accent? Well, that's kind of what we do here. That's why I push people to the audio, guys. If you don't like, if you're sick of looking at me, if you don't like my studio, all the other stuff, that's fine. Really, you might find listening to the show is actually more rewarding. We do have the audio archives on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and on Spotify. And science has actually shown that listening, so there's like different stages of like learning and comprehension, at least for most people. Everybody's different. But for most people, it's like reading and writing is the best way to learn. You have the highest levels of comprehension and memory. And then listening is the second level. So it's like if you can listen, actively listen, second best way to comprehend and learn. And then the third is watching. Watching something, comprehending, learning, memory storage. Obviously, it's different for everybody. Some people are visual learners, but for most people, listening gives you better retention of information than watching. So if you don't like me, how I look, the gold accents, the studio, you can always just listen. Maybe you'll like it better. Crowd. Ukraine equals heavily Jerusalem. Igor Burkuk, Google. Yeah, I did a little bit of a deep dive into that because I saw some of the narratives coming out of the Crimea, and I was like, wait a second, we're doing Crimea again? What's up with that? And when you go back to the history, the long-term history, the recent history, it's okay. Yeah, they're going for that. Now, does it have something to do with being Jewish, or is it just the same secret society people, rulers of the world? They just want total economic, geographical control over everything, and that's why they're going after Crimea? And maybe they just pretend like it's a Jewish thing because that's the big victim thing, and then they can shove that down your throat and claim you're anti-Semite if you don't like it. Is that the strategy here? But it seems like that's the direction it's going with some of the recent developments, at least. Nelly, I just found out that Hot Bird in Inception has turned herself into a dude, and I'm feeling pretty ill about it. You just found that out. That was Elliot. Well, that's Elliot Page, formerly Ellen Page. I think her last movie was Flatliners. I'm not positive. I think her last movie was Flatliners, and she was fantastic. Fantastic. Looked great, too. I'm not even talking about, she was a looker. No, she was incredible in Flatliners. It's one of those movies they remade, and it was fantastic. And I think that was her last performance, and now it's like she'll never be great again. Why? You have to wonder. That couldn't be natural. There had to be something else. Something else led Ellen Page to make that decision. I do not believe that this was a natural thing. She either was not liking some of the advances that she was getting in Hollywood, to put it lightly, so she butchered herself, or maybe somebody said, hey, you can get more roles if you do this, and she did it. I don't know, but it just makes no sense to me. That's a nonsense one to me, but you just figured that out, huh? I'm sorry. I know it's a shame, isn't it? Corey, F you. I was talking about Florida property tax, and you went into a rant worth the $60 to find out you're a fraud. What? What is she talking about? Somebody want to explain to me what this is about? This is our crash out of the day right here? Is this our crash out energy crash out of the day? I went into a rant? What? Okay. All right. Ebu. It's Barry Gibb meets Mel Gibson in Road Warrior and pre-shaved head Stone Cold Steve Austin. That he did have the blonde hair before they shaved it. I forget what his name was at that time. That was good in that documentary. Did you see that one? And then how they came up with the name Stone Cold? With a heterosexual dash of Pedro Pascal. No, I don't see that one. Or maybe, is it the mustache? All right, you got me. Palmetto Hawk, we need a U-turn. At 250 years, we have an administration ushering in globalism, war, and artificial intelligence surveillance states. And Leo Terrell punishing free speech. Yeah, what do they have on Leo Terrell? There's no way that's organic. That's weird. But yeah, that's why I think the 250 fair deal happening in D.C. is just a non-starter, because all the things that we were supposed to be celebrating at this point in the administration just aren't happening. And if anything, the opposite is happening. The peroxide is preventing you from thinking straight. There is no peroxide, so Is there a height minimum for that mustache ride? Oh, wow. No. Well, there are no rides, so I don't know. We'll have to we'll consider that if they ever open for the public. Space Friend. Love the stash, America's Anchorman. Tried calling in, but you said you couldn't take calls. We'll try to get in next time. Have a good one, Owen. We did take some calls today. I guess we ran out of time, though. So we'll get you. We're going to be taking some more calls, I think. The Algeria versus Austria match was clearly fixed. Well, what do you mean by fixed? I am curious, because what I saw is two teams. So the World Cup does this. Actually, it was smart the way they do this. In the final day of group play, they have all the teams playing at the same time to avoid a situation like this. So basically, if all the teams are playing at the same time, at least in most circumstances, those two games are going to have an impact. The outcome of those games are going to have an impact on the knockout stage. So it was a rare moment at the end where all Algeria and Austria had to do was tie because of the results in the other game. So all they had to do was tie, and they both advanced. And so there was a moment there where you could see it was like they reached an agreement, which was, we're just going to pass the ball around and we're going to run this clock out. So, okay, it looked like everybody was on the same page. And then Algeria decides, well, you know what, we're going to strike one into we're going to go down the field, and then they score a goal. So then Austria was like, well, what the hell is that? So then Austria said, well, fine, we'll go score a goal. And then they did, and then Iran got eliminated. So look, I'm not telling you that professional sports aren't fixed. Obviously, FIFA has been involved directly in fixing scandals. So I'm not telling you the games aren't fixed. I keep hearing that, and I'm just wondering, what is the theory? What is the theory that the game is fixed with that outcome? I'm just curious. How do you think that they fixed that? Because I think they fix games with the VAR, which is like the paradox is the VAR is there to make sure they don't get a call wrong, but it also gives them control over the calls. And then who knows if you trust what they're showing you or not. But it's like, oh yeah, we're going to cancel a goal because a pinky toe is offsides now. It's like, well, wait a second. Is this where we're at? But I don't know. I mean, to say it was fixed, I'm just curious what you mean by that. What was fixed about it? PBD debate. Fishback Rainer Collins very soon. I saw that. Get yourself a trans girlfriend. Much better than a biological woman. I'm going to pass. Interesting suggestion. No good for me. Lutza. If you're ravishing, Rick Rude had a baby with Mr. Perfect. 80 style stud. Don't ever change, Owen. Thank you. Don't worry. It's not going anywhere. Socialism for me, not for thee. Israel firsters. Okay. All right, Hawk. A-Rod Blends. How do I call in? Number, send me to voicemail in Burbank. Well, when the line is up, that's when you call in. And if you can't get through, that's just because there's too many people on the line. So it is hard to get through. No, just no, 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 no. Yeah. Yep. Let's take it easy on Corey. I don't know what the situation, Alex. I'd have to go back. What is she upset about? What is she talking about? I rant all the time on the show. I don't know why she's upset, but okay. We'll see what's up with that. Stunning Steve Austin is what you were looking for. Well, is that the name? I don't remember the name of the documentary, but they cover when he was first coming up in the wrestling scene, former football player. It really is amazing. And then his wife, I guess he's like, it's early in the morning. He's about to take a road trip for some wrestling gig. And his wife gives him a coffee and says, drink your coffee or it's gonna turn stone cold. And then he was like, Stone Cold, that's the name, Stone Cold. And then it just stuck. I warned you about the super chats, but it wasn't even the super chat that did it. That was the phone call. She was upset with the phone call. Who is amazed? Brother, with that new hairstyle, you look like a star. Long and hard, buddy, just like the stars. What do you expect? All right, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for everybody in the super chats. Thank you to the phone calls. That's a Monday transmission. Actually, kind of a light Monday, honestly. Kind of a light Monday transmission. Well, you know what? I was enjoying my birthday this weekend, and so I didn't really have the normal news cycle. Normally, I'm in the news all weekend. I was kind of avoiding it this weekend to enjoy my birthday. 37, in case you're wondering. 37. 37 years out of at least 5,000 that I've been here. So, that's just how it goes. Guys, remember, give us a follow on YouTube. The Owen Report on YouTube. Give us a follow. Means a lot. All right, we take a 21-hour break. We'll do it all again, same time, same channel tomorrow. God bless. Godspeed.